Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to teach you how to play Dwellings of Eldervale. Now, Dwellings of Eldervale first came on my radar when it was being kickstarted. I almost kickstarted it, but it was just like, there were so many really expensive games coming out at the time, I just couldn't do it. I didn't see myself playing it that much. And so I didn't kickstart it, I just wasn't sure if it was going to be good. And then it came out and people were raving about it, and then I was like, okay, I'll buy it. And so I went on their website, and the really cool thing is that Breaking Games, I think in general, if they kickstart things, they still make everything available. So I hopped on there and I bought the fanciest version of this game, probably for more than I would have gotten had I kickstarted it, but at the very least it was available there on their website. I don't know if it's still in stock or not when you see this, but I specifically mentioning this because there are 3 versions of the game. There's a basic version, like a deluxe version, and a legendary version. I ended up getting the legendary version, and there are also 2 different covers for the game. So if you are playing this game, sorry, my watch is going crazy. If you're playing this game, then you might have a different cover than I have, and that's okay. So in this game, what I just want to point out really fast is because I got the fancy version, the way you're going to see that is, first of all, there are monsters in this game. The basic version just has like cardboard stands that you put down. This one comes with miniatures. And it also comes with sound bases that I probably won't use, but let's just demonstrate them. You could turn on the sound base when the monster's on there. And basically when you move it, it makes sound. I don't know why I felt like I needed that, but apparently I did. So there are these sound bases on there. That's going to be unique to this version. Also, wooden resources and metal coins instead of just cardboard ones, even though I really love the art on the cardboard ones, so I might eventually switch back over to those. But other than that, I think for the most part, what you see is what you're going to get. There are a whole bunch of like modules or like mini expansions that also come with this version of the game that I am not playing with. We're just going to play with the bare bones of the game. So just having explained that, you might be seeing things here that aren't in your version of the game. Let's jump in because there's a lot to talk about. Usually I don't talk about my setup, like the steps that go into setting up a game here, because I have my own video for that. So if you want to see that, there is a link in the description of this video. But there is something really important about setup that I want to explain here. In Dwellings of Eldervale, basically there are 8 colors or 8 elements that are available to be played with in any given game. You can see those 8 colors represented right here or over here with these decks of cards. And those elements are basically what you would expect. It's light, dark, order, chaos, air, earth, fire, water, something like that. And you can see those same colors over here as well. And the reason I mention that is even though there are all 8 colors available, you won't play with all 8 colors. Those colors come in from the players choosing their colors, and you always add 2 additional colors. So when I set up this game, I always play with the blue player and the red player. So that's what I did. We have our blue water element over here, and that's going to be the Atlanteans clan. And really quickly, I'll point out that every clan or every color actually has 2 different clans you could choose. They have different special abilities. So that's kind of fun. I just chose the Atlanteans because I love water. I have a saltwater tank. I love it. And then the red player over here is going to be the Fire Witch Goblins. And you can see that they also had 2 different ones to choose from. I just chose this one. And so because we are using the blue color and the red color, what happens in that is that basically unlocks the red deck of cards and the red tokens, and it's going to have red tiles mixed up in here, and we have an orb over here on the red track. Because we have the blue player, same idea. Blue deck of cards is unlocked, blue tiles over here, orb over here on the blue track, and oh, red monster, blue monster. And then I just randomly picked 2 monsters to join in to add the 2 more colors. And so in my shuffling, I ended up also grabbing the purple and the black monsters. And so in this specific game, we will also have chaos represented. We have that deck of cards will be available to us and an orb over here on the purple track. And we have the darkness monster. So we have the dark card available and an orb over here on the black track. Also, we have a black tile here, and there are more black and purple tiles here. There just wasn't a purple one that showed up just because of how it was shuffled. All of the other colors will just be inert, or like we won't be using those elements in this game. I used the word inert. I don't know if I used it correctly, but there it was. And so the way you'll see that is these doors look closed. So we won't be using this like light blue or this yellow, or no, this is the light blue. That's white, that's yellow, that's green. We're not going to be using those, and you can kind of tell the doors are closed on those, and they don't have any orbs over here. So the general idea is that there is this big realm that went into ruins for whatever reason, probably monster invasions or whatever, sent all of the clans into hiding. And these clans have decided that they're going to come back in and they're going to retake their territory. They're going to try to build dwellings inside of each of these parts in the realm. There's currently a big fire monster. It's called the Demon of Might right here. It's a little hard to see just because it's red against red, but let me point out how cool these looked. These came washed, so that was fun. I don't mean cleaned, like stained. It doesn't matter. And so we're going to have to deal with those monsters when we come in and try to, you know, build some dwellings, because this game is called the Dwellings of Eldervale. Let me start with a really broad overview. Then I'm going to do a less broad overview, and then we're going to get into the specifics of how to play a game. But in general, each clan starts with 3 workers. This, at its heart, is a worker placement game. And so the places where we could place our workers are here in the realm. We can basically take our worker on our turn, put it in the realm, and take an action on the board. And that's going to be one of the things we can do on our turn. The other thing we could do on our turn is recall all of our workers back from the board. But what makes this one unique is when you recall your workers, you're actually going to have your own private worker placement places in front of you. So this is like a 2-way worker placement game. We all share this common area. We're all going to be putting workers here, taking these generally available actions. But then when we pull them back, we're going to be placing them in our tableaus over here. And we're going to be building a tableau. So these cards are going to eventually become tableau builders for us. And yeah, so we're going to be pulling the workers back and taking another worker placement action over this way. So just keep that in mind, that we're going to be putting workers out, taking workers and doing more actions this way, and then kind of resetting. All of these things are going to revolve around 5 different kind of 6, kind of 7 resources. We're going to have gems here. Let me bring this up here. These are the types of resources on the board that will basically pay for stuff. So we have gems. These are scrolls, even though I might often call them wood just because it looks like a branch. Potions, tools, swords, and then we have coins, which are basically a wild resource. And there are these magic cards, and magic cards also count as a resource in this game. So basically, we're going to be using these resources over here to pay for a bunch of these actions that we want to take. So that's just a really broad overview, is that we're going to be placing workers, bringing them back, paying for them with these different resources, stuff like that. There are more places to explore. This is a draw pile over here. And the game is basically going to end when either our draw pile runs out, or this is called the Dwellings of Eldervale. So we're going to be trying to build dwellings. The way the dwellings work are, we all have 6 of them available. They look like these little hats, or they look like tops of a house. And they act as like a hat on top of our workers. So we have 6 of these roofs and 6 of these workers. And basically the game might end if we get all 6 of these roofs out, those dwellings. So that will trigger the end of the game, either by going through this pile or somebody gets all 6 dwellings on the board. So there we go. Really broad overview. I'm going to bring you over to this board over here to just get a little bit more specific as I talk about how to score points. Because at the end of the game, the person with the most points wins. Okay, so over here we have, I don't remember the official name, it's like the elements board, or it's the points board. And there's a few different things on here I want to point out. First of all, when we get when we get points during the game, that's always going to be represented by these stars. So if you see a star anywhere, that means essentially immediate points that you earn right then and there. And we'll track those by moving ourselves around the track. I want to talk more about this part because it's obviously the prettiest, and it's going to be the most important part here in just a minute. But let me just point out that throughout the game, we might be collecting these orbs. And when we get those orbs, we can spend those orbs up here on the top part of this board to claim these various things. So I could use orbs to get points, or you can see all of the resources that I was showing you earlier. When we win battles, because this is going to be a big fighting game, we're going to actually take a marker and we'll move on the glory track, and that's going to get us some more points. When some of our workers die, they're going to come down here to the underworld, and if a worker ends up in the underworld, we'll get them back, but you won't be able to take actions when you bring them back. So we'll talk more about that later. But the other thing that I wanted to point out is this huge element thing right here. So yes, we will be scoring some points during the game, but most of the points are going to come at the end of the game when we have, I already talked about the end of the game, but basically we're going to be looking to this board to help score a lot of end of game points. Now, we each start with one marker on our colored track here on the 2 space. So the red player started here on the red 2, and the blue player here started on the blue 2. And that's because we have one icon in front of us that matches our element type. So I kind of briefly mentioned this idea that we're going to be building a tableau of cards. And so that tableau is going to start here, and we're going to build this way. Here, let me move this thing out of the way. We're going to be building this way, but every time we get a new card that comes into our tableau, a few things are going to happen. First of all, because we'll have another one of these icons in front of us, we're going to bump ourselves on that track. So maybe if I got that blue card, I would move myself up 1 space on this track. And heck, maybe later on I get a black card. Let me just bring this here for fake. Then, because I have one of these icons, I would get to put a marker to start on the black track. And if I got another black card, then I would move up. And if I got a red card, then I'd put one on the red track, and so on. Another way that you can move yourself up the tracks is going to be by building a dwelling. Like I said, the whole game is called the Dwellings of Eldervale. Building dwellings is going to be important. Kind of a general overview of how that works is you would need to, if you want, let's say I want to build a dwelling on this place, or it could be the red one. Just because I'm using the blue player doesn't mean I'm stuck on blue. I'm just using this one as an example. So let's say the blue player wants to build a dwelling here. Well, first he would have had to have a worker on this place. We'll talk more about that later. But if a worker is here on this place, then we could take a dwelling action, and we would have to pay the resources. So right now I would have to pay 3 potions. And what would happen is I would grab one of those roofs. I would take my worker that was in that place, put it on top, place it here. Now the reason I'm using this to demonstrate is, notice now I have a dwelling somewhere where there are 2 blue icons. So at that point I would move myself up 2 more times up the blue track. Now, just so I can explain how scoring is going to work, let's pretend the game ended right here. It's not going to, but let's pretend. So the blue player ended up with up here on the 4 space on the blue track and the 2 space on the black track. That basically means that you would gain 4 points for each blue icon you're on. So that's looking at your dwellings, and it's looking at the cards in your tableau. So should the game end right now, this specific dwelling right here would gain me 4 points. Plus these 2 cards, because they're over here in my tableau, they would also each earn me 4 points. So that's going to be 12 points altogether. Plus, because I was up on the black track, this card right here would get me 2 more points on top of that. So it's kind of like this interesting puzzle of pulling cards into your tableau. That's going to help you with extra worker placement places. It also moves you up those tracks, and by moving up the tracks, these become more valuable. Same thing right here. By building a dwelling, you're going to move yourself up the tracks, and all of a sudden that dwelling is going to be worth points. So that's in general what we're going to be trying to do. Build those dwellings, get those cards into our tableau, and score the points for the end of the game. Now, don't worry, you're not supposed to know how that all works just yet, but we're going to go ahead and reset this board. Let's pull this dwelling back, and I'll go ahead and reset them here. I just kind of want you to see where these pieces are coming from. Each player starts with 3 basic workers, but we can add even more workers, or we could also add a wizard or a fighter or a dragon. We'll talk all about that stuff, but also let's go ahead and return these cards. But as we return these cards, I just want to point out a couple of things you're going to see over here. I already mentioned the closed doors versus the open doors. These cards are basically going to give us special abilities or extra worker placement places for our personal tableaus, but they also are going to show you kind of what the main resources are that this color provides and that it's going to require to cost stuff. So for example, this one is going to be heavily dealing with jewels. And so to get through a lot of these cards, we're going to need a bunch of the jewels. We're going to need jewels in order to go through this deck, and maybe some tools. For the blue one, it primarily deals with potions and also scrolls. Up here, this one's going to deal with tools and potions, or over here, potions and gems. You can also see that that's kind of the primary cost for the dwellings. We have potions for the blue, we have the gem for the red, we have tools down here for black, stuff like that. So the reason I say this is, in a perfect world, I probably would have just put all 4 elements in one tray so it wasn't so awkward to fit on the camera. But I really do like this information available here, and that's stickered on, so we'll just keep all of the trays like this. So again, keep in mind, this is a worker placement game. These workers are going to go onto the board. They'll eventually come back. We're trying to build dwellings if we can. We're trying to build our tableau if we can. And these are the resources that will help us get there. These dice are going to help us when it comes time for combat. Just don't worry. Don't feel overwhelmed. That's kind of what we're doing. Now, let me also point out that the game comes with this beautiful player reference sheet that's extremely helpful. I'll talk to you about most of that stuff. It's going to just basically talk us through the different things we can do on our turn. It will also talk us through combat on this side. So I'll keep this over here. I might pull it out as needed, but for the most part, we'll keep it there. So each player always starts with one of each of these 5 resources. You don't start with coins. And you start with 5 magic cards in your hand. The first player starts with 1 point, the second player 2. If there was a third player and a fourth player, they would start with that many points also. And of course, we'll look closer at the cards in a minute. I just don't want to overwhelm you. We'll look closer at what our special abilities do. Again, I just want to try to keep things nice and simple. But for now, because it's a worker placement game, let's start by grabbing one of our workers. It's our first turn of the game, and let's go talk about the different places we can put them and what the things do. So over here in the village, whatever it's called, you basically have elemental realms. Those are the ones that match our player colors or the 2 extra things that we've added. So we happen to have, because of how things were drawn, we have these 2 blue ones, we've got the 2 red ones and a black one. That was totally just randomly drawn. And you're also going to notice, oh man, I can't remember their fancy name, but basically special action tiles. They have these like brown borders, and they ended up like this in our setup. Every single one of these is going to do something different. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information, so let's start with something basic. Essentially, the very first time if you have no other workers on the board, so the first time you're going to place a worker, there's nobody else on here, then you could put them anywhere that there isn't already somebody else. So right now, the only place I can't put my worker is over here on this spot where there's a monster. I could put it anywhere else. And it's really straightforward if we just focus on the elemental ones. If I put it here, I could draw this token. We'll talk about tokens in a second. Put it here, I could draw one of these showing tokens. Here I could draw one, here I could draw one. I can't come over here because there's a dragon, but if that wasn't there, I could go here and draw one of those tokens. These tokens are pretty useful because they'll either give you the resource that's on top of them, like when you get that token, you could just discard it to get that resource. Or you could actually use those tokens to help enhance the worker placement places that are in front of you. So I'll show you more of that a little bit later, but that's what all of these do. You'll just draw tokens. When we get to the end of a stack, there's going to be just a generic draw that resource kind of a thing going on there. Okay? Now let's just do a brief overview of what these things do right here. If I were to come to the fortress, this treasure chest basically means any of the resources. So here, this is where you'd go if you want money, and money or coins is a wild resource. That was unclear. These treasure chests means you can turn in any 2 resources that you want to pick up 2 coins, and the coins act as any resource. So if you have a whole bunch of potions and nothing to do with them, you could turn in the 2 potions for 2 coins, and you can use these coins for anything that you want. Over here, this says you could turn in any 2 resources. You would draw 3 magic cards into your hand, and then discard any 1 magic card from your hand that you don't want. This tile over here has that icon. That basically means that's the dwelling action. So just for clarity, if I had a worker over here and I had taken a tile, when I take this action, what that means is I would be able to spend 3 potions in order to take this guy, put the little hat on, put them here. Now I have a dwelling, and I would move up twice on the blue track over there. So that's what this action does. That's called the dwelling action, and you would have to be able to pay for that action in order to take place. This one over here is called the portal. This would let you do the summoning action. The summoning action is how you get more workers. As I pointed out, we all have 3, but there are 3 more regular workers plus 3 more special workers that are available to summon. And the cost for summoning each of those is shown right here. So basically, if I want to summon my 4th worker, I would just need any 1 resource. My 5th worker will be 2 resources of any type. My 6th worker would be, sorry, I just had a brain fart. 3 resources of any type. If I want to summon my fighter, I need 2 tools and a sword. If I want to summon my wizard, I need 2 potions and a scroll. If I want to summon my dragon, I need 2 gems and a scroll. So that's what the summoning or the portal does. It allows you to take a summon action to bring more of these workers out so that you could take more actions. Finally, there's this dungeon. The dungeon is how we would grow the map. And so we would draw a card, draw a tile, and put it somewhere here. And we'll talk more about this, but basically this is how you would adventure through these cards. You would take either 1 or 2 of these cards by paying for them, and so the cost of getting this blue card would be 2 potions, or 2 gems for this red one, 2 tools, and 2 potions up here. So you can kind of see in this specific game, because of the elements we've chosen, potions are going to be very, very valuable. So we're going to want to keep an eye out for potions. Tools are going to be pretty valuable too, I guess. Yeah, tools are going to be, oh no, because we're not going to deal with green. So tools are valuable here and here. Gems are going to be valuable here and here. Potions, the only one that's going to be like, is going to be scrolls. Scrolls won't be that valuable for this specific game. So as I'm trying to decide what to do, I'm keeping in mind the value of potions. And without explaining it right this second, I just want to point out, I want to get a dwelling here as fast as possible, because it's going to score me a ton of immediate points. When you take a dwelling action, when you actually build your dwelling, you're going to score points basically more or less based on how many brown tiles are around it. And this one is surrounded by a lot of brown tiles. So for this first round with these 3 workers that I've got, I'm going to do everything I can to get a dwelling here and to keep the red player away from it. The other nice thing is I see 2 potions here, and as I mentioned, that's going to be a pretty valuable resource. So for my first turn, I'm going to take my worker. We're going right here. I'm not moving up the track. That only happens when you dwell on it. And I'm going to grab one of these tokens and bring it back. So I'm doing the place a unit action that's described right here. And again, it will just kind of show you all of that information. Take a unit. If it's your first placement, you can put it anywhere that there isn't somebody else. And then units after that, we'll talk on our next turn. Or we could have taken the regroup action, grabbed our workers back 1 at a time, and put them on worker placement spots over here. But for now, I'm going to do that. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to show you is we have enough space to hold up to 4 tokens. But anytime we want to, on your turn, we can do stuff with those tokens. I think for now, I'll just hold on to them. But if I wanted to, I could just discard it to get 2 more tokens. But I have a plan for that token. We'll talk about it later. Don't want to melt your brain. So I mentioned that I'm going to have the blue player really focus here at the beginning on getting that 1 dwelling. The red player, I usually just do this thematically. Let's have our red player kind of be a good fighter. And so their goal is to try to really beef up their fighting ability, I guess you could say. So what I think I'm going to have them do is let's have them grab their worker. And they're going to come over here to this spot to grab this token. And in case you didn't notice, swords aren't really one of the resources that are provided or that you spend to get cards or dwellings. Instead, swords are going to help you with fighting, so I want these 2 swords right here. And as I mentioned, we're just going to go ahead and put that here for now. Oh, should this be face up? Let's go that way. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have 2 swords. We'll talk about what to do with these tokens soon. But now it's the blue player's turn. So what I wanted to show you is we already have 1 worker on the board. So anything we put on the board after that, if there's already 1 on the board, we need to follow these rules. Basically, we can put it next to one of our previous workers, but not on the same space. And another thing that we'll want to be aware of is, well, we can't put one, wait, oh, sorry, this worker should not be here. I'll bring this worker over. So one thing we need to be aware of as we're picking our next place is you have to be able to take the action wherever you put your guy. And if this was a little bit farther into the game, we would have to worry about the possibility of fighting this monster or fighting another player. But for right now, we don't have to worry about that, and we won't have to worry about that until everyone's done a regroup action. Remember, regroup is where everybody pulls back. So for right now, I could just find the best place to put my worker, and any of these places are options. Knowing that I'm going to be losing a worker to build a dwelling, I'm going to go ahead and summon another worker. So I'm going to come over here to take the summon action. And as I mentioned before, I'll talk about why that marker's there. As I mentioned before, to summon my next worker is going to be 1 resource. So what was the resource I said probably wouldn't matter in this game? Scrolls. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pay a scroll in order to bring another worker up here to my pool of available workers. Next up is the red player. Remember that we're in a time of peace right now, so any of these spots are open to me to go from here. So I have to go next to where we are. And in a normal game, if I came here, or sorry, if this was in the next round after everyone's regrouped, if I came here, it would trigger a fight. If I came here, it would trigger a fight. But for right now, it's a time of peace. I think what I want to do is, these gems are pretty nice, and since I know the dragon can't attack me because it's a time of peace, I'm going to go ahead and grab this 2 gem token and bring it over this way. I think since the blue player is going to be focusing on getting that dwelling right off the bat, let's have our red player really aim towards getting one of these cards, probably this card right here. Might as well. Now, because the blue player got another worker, we do have 2 more workers. We could regroup anytime we want to, but there's plenty of stuff to do. And I think before we go too much farther, just because we're starting to get the hang of, oh yeah, we're going to put workers out, get workers back, let's take a second and start looking at these cards, what they do, and what will really feed into the blue player's strategy. Okay, so these cards will do all sorts of different things. The description is really nice and helpful, so let's just read through these cards. It's going to help us with vocabulary. It'll kind of guide some of my teaching, stuff like that. So this card right here is called a quest card. This icon kind of represents quests, but it's really easy to forget that as time goes on. But this says, to complete this quest, you must have at least 2 gems. Gems are these right here. You must have at least 2 gems in your supply, and we would gain 1 point immediately for each gem in your supply. Now, we have a maximum of 5 resources of each type that we can hold, and so I probably want to hold on to this until I have 5 gems, at which point I could play this down and get 5 points if I really had the 5 gems. We have this Lord of War. At the end of the game, this card is worth 3 points if your marker is on the final space of the glory track or higher than other players. So if I'm better at winning combat than other players, this could be 3 points. That's not really going to be blue's focus so much. It's going to be more of red's focus, so I might end up spending this card just as a resource. This card right here actually has a cost. I either need to spend 1 scroll or be 1 up on the blue track in order to use this, which is great because I already am 1 up on the blue track. But if you pay this cost, it says at the beginning of your turn, you can place your unit in any realm. This placement will not trigger battle or cause a monster to rush. So, as I mentioned before, in our normal placement, we have to go adjacent to somebody that's already placed down. And if this was in the future, we could spark a battle. This is going to let you kind of skate through that. That's a great card for the blue player. Let's see, what are some of his other cards to kind of help guide our strategy? So this one doesn't have any cost. It just says play on your turn. Discard any number of magic cards from your hand and draw magic cards equal to the amount discarded plus 1. That's great. So we could just discard whichever cards we don't like, especially, like I said, I don't think I really want the Lord of War card. Okay, over here. This one costs 2 gem, or if we were 3 up on the light track. The light track isn't in this game, so we can't even consider that. We would have to pay 2 gems for this one. But it says, play after you roll dice for any reason. You may flip any of your dice to the opposite face. So that's kind of like, if we were battling, this could be, we could flip something from a 1 to a 6, would be super awesome. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, so that's kind of the things that we've got going on here. It looks like I probably want to start collecting gems and I could place somewhere that I want to, and I could hold on to this. Yeah, I'm going to want to start collecting some gems, so I'm going to try to keep that in mind. And in fact, while we're at it, let's take this one and put it right here. That will let me take this gem, well, this gem token, and I could either swap that token out for a regular gem, or I might be able to enhance one of my other actions. We'll talk more about that soon. Now, I know that I'm going to have the red player really try to grab one of those adventure cards that we'll talk about a little bit later, but for now, let's take a look at their cards and see what things are floating around over here. Okay, this says, this is a quest card. To complete this quest, you must roll all 6 dice in battle. We'll talk about that, but basically each of the workers involved in a battle adds a die, so does the swords. So if I can get to the point where I can roll all 6 dice, that's going to be 3 points. That's great. That plays perfectly into their strategy. Dragon War, that sounds like a strategy too. To complete this quest, you must win a battle with your dragon, gain 3. That's cool. So I'm going to want to get my dragon out, involved in a battle, and win it for 3 points. A vast empire. At the end of the game, score based on the number of dwellings you built. Okay, so that would be great if the blue player had it. I don't know that the red player is so much going to go for this strategy, but it's an option. And if I was a really good person, I probably would base my strategy on these cards, but I have to stick with my red-blue strategies. Okay, over here, it would cost a scroll or be 1 up on the air element, but that's not in the game, so just 1 scroll. Play during your turn, choose one of your tableau cards to activate it as if you had placed a unit on it. That's cool because we're going for tableau cards. Arcane Duel. To complete this quest, you must win a battle with your wizard, gain 4 points. Awesome. So if I can get my wizard out and involved in a battle, that could be 4 points. Okay, so that's the kind of cards that we have. Most of them are playing into our strategy. I probably don't care about that one so much. But for now, as I mentioned, I really want to get a card. So I'm going to send this guy into the dungeon. We start by drawing one of these tiles. Let's look at it. Oh, there's one of our purple tiles. And that's going to go onto any place where it can touch 2 other tiles. Now, there is some strategy because, as I mentioned, if you dwell next to a bunch of brown stuff, that could be worth points. So maybe I want to put this, oh, we're going to need to reorganize for some space here. I'm going to put that right there. Now notice that there's 1 empty spot. So I'm going to pick any one of these piles. We'll just go in order. So I'm going to grab this pile. This is a stack of 3 tiles here. Probably the easiest thing to do is to just take the whole stack, flip it upside down. You could just draw, like you could just flip the top tile over, but I like doing it this way. We'll go ahead and put it right there. Lots of potions. That's very potiony. So that was this part of the action. The next part is, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look. You have to buy at least 1 card. If you couldn't, you can't take this action. This one costs 2 tools. I don't have. 2 potions. I don't have them. 2 potions. I don't have them. All I can do is grab this one for 2 jewels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and discard this tile for the 2 jewels that I need. Discarded tokens go right here. And we're going to take this card back with us. And we're going to flip this one over. And there's a flaming sword available. It looks like for 3 swords we could buy this card to put in front of us. And what it does, it's not a worker placement spot. The worker placement spots have these workers on them. But what this one will do is, it says, in battle, the first sword you spend grants you 1 additional battle die. That's something the red player is really going to want, so that's cool. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put this right over here as we start building our tableau. Of course, as time goes on, I might have to shift a whole bunch of stuff, but this seems like an okay place to start if I move my light so it's not so glary. But notice we have 2 symbols with us now, so I should be on the second step over here for the red. Now you might be wondering, how am I going to have 3 potions in order to take the dwell action, which is going to be my goal? I could do the dwell action right now because I am next to the dwell action right here. So I could put my worker there and do the dwell action. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until I regroup because this card is actually 3 separate worker placement places. When I regroup, I could put a worker here to summon somebody. I could put a worker here to pick up a resource. And I could put a worker here to dwell, which would get me the points. So what I think I want to do is hold off and take the dwell action like when I regroup instead of with this specific worker. And along those lines, right now as it is, when I regroup, I could put a worker here to get 1 potion. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this token You could do this later if you want to, but I'm going to take this token right here, and my plan is that I would use one of my workers when I bring them back to gather 2 potions, so I'm at a total of 3, and then use another worker to dwell, turn one of those workers into a dwelling. So for now, what do I want to do with this one? I think I want to... It's not a fantastic move, but let's go ahead and convert 2 resources to 2 coins, basically making them wild. I could have come over here for magic cards, but sometimes I get overwhelmed if I have too many magic cards in my hand. You do have a hand limit of 7, and I'm at 5 right now. So, I don't know. I think, yeah, let's go over here, and I'm just going to change 2 resources in for 2 coins. It's not like we're losing anything exactly, we're just basically beefing those things up. So I'm going to go ahead and take a tool and a sword. We'll turn those in and just grab 2 coins in the meantime that can be used for anything that I need, just because I don't have an exact idea of what I want. Now remember, you could choose to regroup even if you had more workers out here ready to go out, but I don't have workers, so I'm forced to regroup right now. So the way that regrouping works, and you kind of have to be careful with this, especially because of the dwelling action, which won't really affect the red player right now. But basically, we have to pull all of the workers off the board, but you do it one at a time, just to make sure that you're doing things in a proper order. So whichever worker, like I said, because the red player's not going to dwell this time, it won't really matter too much. But let's go ahead and pull this worker, and we will put them down here to gather. Now, the very first time you do the regroup, you're going to put one of your markers here on the glory track. And as I mentioned before, once everybody has started to regroup, so once the glory track has every player's marker on here, then we're going to have fights. We'll talk more about that later. But that's kind of why I keep this marker down here on this card, just because the first time you regroup, it's kind of your reminder, oh yeah, we got to put a marker on that track. Anyway, I went ahead and I gathered, and it shows a gem, so I'm going to pick up a gem. Then I'm just going to grab them from off the board. Let me grab my next worker. I think we probably will want to summon. Now, I have... do I want to summon my dragon this early? Let's get our dragon out there, especially because our dragon and our wizard help us with our goals. They're going to be really strong in battle. I'm going to go ahead and summon the dragon by spending 2 gems and 1 skull. And I summon the dragon. He's out here. We'll talk more about their special abilities in a little bit. And then I'm going to pull my last worker, and I'm not going to dwell, but as I mentioned, this has a worker on it, so this is a worker placement spot. I am going to plan on putting a worker there, but first I'm going to go ahead and put this. You can do this anytime during your turn. Let's put that token here, so that when I come over to this spot, I'm going to gain 1 hammer and 2 swords. So now you can kind of see how these individual placements go. You can kind of see what the tokens are starting to do, why it's important to get more cards, stuff like that. And once you have grabbed all of your workers from the city or wherever that is, that's awesome. You would pull workers from the underground, bring them here, and otherwise you would just clear off your space and put them in the ready area, just like that. Now, once this token is slotted, you can't just put it back over here. You could replace it and discard that one, but that's basically locked in there for now. That was the red player's turn. Now it's the blue player's turn. We don't have any more workers, so we have to regroup, but I do have to be more careful about this one because I am planning on dwelling. So let me grab this worker first. They're going to go right here and gather 2 potions. Then I'm going to gather this worker. And, oh man, what do I want to do with this one? Can I summon... My workers, oh, I didn't even think about this. My workers actually do have a special ability that I need to annotate. All right, so my wizard and my workers have a special ability. My workers, when you regroup, which I'm doing right now, if you have 3 or more workers in Eldervale, you may advance 1 space on the glory track. Wahoo. That did happen. Well, I'm going to do that because I had 4 workers out there. So I want to be pretty slow about dwelling. I was going to really jump into dwelling, but maybe I need to be slower about it. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to have this worker, and because of my ability, I probably want more workers out. Let's go ahead and summon another one. Oh, do I want to do that? It would cost 2 resources of any kind. Maybe I do want to do that, because I don't care about this 1 card for sure. Okay, I'm going to spend this card as a resource, and I'm going to spend this jewel. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go ahead and spend those in order to grab another worker here. Finally, I'm going to grab this one to come down here to do the dwell action. So I'm going to grab one of these, and we'll put this on just like that. I need to spend my 3 potions. Man, I'm out of resources. And move up twice on the blue track. And now at the end of the game, each of the cards in my tableau and each dwelling is going to be worth 4 points. And now this dwelling is permanent. It's going to help us in battle, which we'll talk about later. But basically, that's there, so I can't pull that worker back anymore. I was foolish, I didn't even think about that. But we're going to go ahead and move our workers here. And I got to put this on the glory track, but also I get to move up 1 on the glory track because when I regrouped, I had 4 workers. So I don't want my workers to be involved in combat. It's too scary. I want to be able to pull back at least, 3 or more workers when I'm doing this so I can move up the glory track. Which I guess strategically is also a little bit silly because I just got rid of my glory track card. I don't know. There's a lot to be thinking about. So I do get to move up 1, which is 2 points. Plus, I got points for my dwellings. So this card kind of reminds you, you get 2 points for each brown card around the dwelling you build, and you would get 2 points for each dwelling that was around that. So if there was a dwelling here, I'd get 2 more points. Kind of a thing. But as it is, I'm going to get 2, 4, 6, 8 points for building that dwelling. That was a great jump for the blue player, obviously, but man, we are still so early on. Just don't get too excited. But for now, because we already went ahead and moved all of our workers here, we've got all of our units back, we've regrouped. That was the end of the blue player's turn. Now, before we jump into the red player's turn, I do want to talk about a few things and also fix one mistake that I just realized that I had made. Now, remember on the reds, the last placement turn, so the turn before their regroup, we came over here to the dungeon, which let us put out this tile, and also we picked up the 1 card for the tableau. But there was also this other icon that I totally forgot to address. And the reason that there's a second card icon there is, if you want to buy a second card, if you can afford to buy a second card, then you can buy a second card. If you can't, you actually need to help these decks kind of cycle through by choosing a card to discard. And so we're going to go ahead and do that just because I had forgotten to do that earlier. And I think, oh man, I don't know. The one that I'm going to discard, I'm just going to go ahead and discard this blue one just because it's blue, even though it's not overly helpful. It just has scrolls. Maybe that's, another good reason to get rid of it is it has scrolls. That doesn't help a lot of people. So I'm just going to go ahead and discard this card. And we'll reveal the one underneath it and take a look. So this one has 3 sword cost. It's the Buccaneer's Cutlass. I guess this is almost like the blue version of what's going on over here, kind of. And it has a special ability for the person that owns this card. When activating tableau cards, your warrior may be used to activate an opponent's tableau card instead of your own. So that's kind of fun. And you've already figured it out, but let's just point out, this art, that's really one of the biggest reasons I bought this game, is because the art is just so good. So that was just one of the things that I wanted to address. The other thing I want to start, well, I have 2 more things. One more thing I want to address is that when we start to get these new units, now I have a dragon, depending on the faction that you're playing, some of those units are going to have special abilities. So for the Fire Witch Goblins, when they have their dragon out, that dragon is going to have some abilities. First of all, every dragon in the game has flight. We'll talk about that later. But this specific dragon is going to provide 3 dice in combat. That's the same for all of the dragons. But also it has Scorching Breath. And it says, when your dragon helps win a battle, each defeated opponent must discard a resource. That's good to know. I'll try to remember as I'm recording. If we get our wizard out, and we'll refresh this when we do get the wizard out, it's going to have this teleport ability. All wizards have that. But this specific wizard also has this Fire Witch ability that says when your wizard is in battle and you have 4 or more magic cards in your hand, we roll 2 additional battle dice, which is fantastic. So when I get that wizard card out, I'm going to try to keep some magic cards in my hand. That will definitely help with battle, which, as I've mentioned before, is going to be something that the red player will really try to focus on. You know, keeping people fighting, that's going to help them with some of their cards, kind of drive my strategy, all that good stuff. Now, before I make the red player's first placement, there are some things that I kind of want to talk about that I've been avoiding a little bit. I'm not going to go too deeply into the details of combat, but that's going to be something that comes up now that the moment of peace is over. We've both done our recall actions, all that stuff. So combat is going to happen. Remember, on your first placement, you have to place it somewhere where nobody else is, and this is not a person. This is just a dwelling, so I could place here first. Now, something to be aware of is if there's a monster on the board, they're going to follow this rule of, oh crap, what's it called? I think it's rushing, something like that. But here, let me grab one of the red workers. The idea behind a monster rush is if you place a worker in a spot adjacent to a monster, then they are going to rush in and you're going to have a battle. You'll always get to take your action first, that's always a given, but afterwards you guys are going to have a fight. And so fighting has a few steps. I'm not going to get too detailed, but the general idea of fighting is that your monster or your opponents, we'll talk about that soon, will have some dice, you'll have some dice, you'll roll them all, and basically you'll see who rolled the highest. And if your highest numbers are tied, who rolled the next highest and the next highest. So I'm just kind of laying this out there because for my first placement, you can't place on a monster spot because you have to place somewhere unique. And if I choose to place in one of these spots, then the monster is going to come over and we're going to have a battle. The monster is going to have 5 dice to roll, so that's a pretty good chance that they're going to roll a better, higher number than I would. If we win, we can either move up the combat track or we could move up the red track. So that's just kind of stuff to be thinking about as I'm trying to decide where to go. I would love to eventually get this coin. Man, having a coin as a token that you have on one of your worker placement spots in your tableau is great. But on my first placement, I can't place here, and I'm nervous to actually pop over here because fighters only get 1 die when fighting. And so if I'm really going to place this one, that's going to be 1 die versus 5 dice. Chances are good the monster is going to win that. So as I'm thinking about my first placement, and I could place my dragon, but that dragon would have 3 dice versus 5. If I'm gonna eventually fight the monster, I want to be prepared. And I think I do want the red player to eventually fight this monster, maybe take it out. So what I want to do is I have to place over here unless I want to draw on the monster. Let's the other thing that I want to think about is something that's part of battle is, let's say a fight starts here, is that you could bring adjacent fighters into the fight to help add more dice, essentially. So I really do want to place up here to grab those potions, just because potions are so valuable. But also, it's kind of like, that would be too far away to join into a fight, so I want to stay close. Let's hop in here. This is not going to start a fight because that's just a dwelling. It's not a warrior. This dwelling will contribute to fights for the blue player, but we'll talk about that later. Man, I'm having a Let's grab this token. Now this token is a potion or a sword. Those are both pretty enticing to me. So I am going to go ahead and place here. I'm not adjacent to the monster, so it's not going to come attack me. That's just going to be my spot. So we'll just place this here for now. Eventually, like I said, I could put this here, or I could discard that token and put it here. But we'll hold on to it. We'll hold on to it for right now. But I do want to point out I do have 3 swords. That's useful. I was going to try, if I can, with these people, win a battle with a dragon. That would be awesome. And heck, if I could do that while also rolling 6 dice altogether, that would be 6 points. It could be very useful. So that's kind of what I want to try to do. See if I can eventually end up with 6 dice in a battle involving the dragon. So I'm going to have to kind of decide what to do with those swords, because 3 swords would be awesome to get that card. Heck, either of those cards, but I think I'm kind of eyeing this card the most. Yeah, anyway, those 3 swords, they can help me win battles, or they can help me in a battle, but specifically, they'll also help me get this card. So I've got some hard choices to deal with. So the blue player is going to be in that same pickle of our spaces are kind of restricted unless we want to fight, but fighting right now, that monster is too strong, so I've really got to avoid them. Let's take one of our workers over there. And do you know what? We're not interested in being involved in this fight at all. And so I'd like to stay out of it. Let's go ahead and put our worker up here and grab some more potions. Keep that kind of rolling. I don't know that I'm necessarily invested in getting another dwelling because I want to have a bunch of workers so that when I pull, I can move up the glory track. So that's just all kind of stuff that I'm battling in my brain. I don't have anywhere to put this or this, so I really probably want to start thinking about how am I going to get some cards into my tableau. I do have 2 wild resources, and then I have these here. No, yeah, I mean, so that's kind of leaning me towards maybe eventually, maybe getting this or this, but that means I'd have to work my way down to this dungeon. Crap. Okay, well, I'm a little nervous. We'll see what happens. I might have to cut through and have a fight with the red player. But again, for my first placement, I had to place somewhere alone, and I did that. So now that we have our first person on the map, we want to put somebody else out. Let's briefly talk about where to put these other people. Each of these special units has a placement rule. And the dragon, remember, normally you have to place 1 space away from somebody who's already on the map. The dragon can actually be placed up to 2 spaces away. That's what flight is. The wizard, no matter when the wizard comes out, you could actually put him anywhere on the board as long as nobody else is there. So even if we had the wizard and we were going to put them out, we don't have to stay close, but we would have to put them in a space alone. And the warrior, even if they're the first person to go on the board, they could hop onto a space with somebody else. That's their aggression. I really wish, even on our nice player aids that we have here that I removed because it was too much on the screen, it doesn't actually detail those 3 special moves, and that kind of makes me sad. I really wish that they had somewhere on this placed those rules because I find myself forgetting what they are a lot. Anyway, what in the world is the red player going to do? As I mentioned, I'd really like to stay around these so that I could eventually plop someone down. I think what I'll eventually do is plop someone down, probably the dragon or something, onto the portal and pull some adjacent people into that fight. So what that means is I'm likely going to have to place here or here, and I don't want to put the dragon out yet. I mean, I could put the dragon here and then put a fighter and bring the dragon down. But remember, wherever you place, you have to be able to fulfill that action. So, oh man, these choices are so hard. All right, here's what we're going to do. Let me grab one of my standard workers here. I'm going to place them there. And we're going to draw a tile. Okay, oh, this is the purple layered tile. That's kind of scary. So I get to put this anywhere as long as it's touching 2 other tiles. So you couldn't put it here. I could put it here, bring it down this way, maybe over here. I am a little bit nervous about the placement of this because it's going to ruin my other plans. So I'm going to go ahead and put this monster far away. Let's go ahead and put them there. I'm going to grab one of the purple stacks and we'll flip that over and it goes like this. And we are going to bring the purple, oh, should we do the sound effect once? We're going to bring the purple monster in. Oh, did I turn it on? Oh, that's so exciting. And this purple monster has some special abilities. We haven't talked about any of these abilities yet. We'll get there. But this is what the purple monster will look like when it's here. There's the artwork for it. Super cool. Here's this artwork in case you're curious. Okay. So this monster is going to take 4 dice that they get to roll, so we'll probably want to have at least 4 when we go up against them. All right, so we just drew that tile, and now we need to either buy a card. Well, we need to buy 1 card, and then we can either buy a second card or discard one. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 tools. I'll just get rid of those in order to open or to grab Death's Door. And we'll bring that into our tableau, and we're going to flip this card that's underneath. So this one would take 3 tools. It's darkness. It's not a worker placement spot because it doesn't have one of those icons. And what it says is it has the aura ability. When you regroup, that's where you pull your workers back. The attached card may be deactivated by a unit returning from the underworld. All right, so let me see if I can explain this, but one thing I want to point out is that the game comes with this great appendix, beautiful artwork, where they actually detail every single card, every clan, every monster. They detail everything in here. It's an appendix. And so what I did is I went ahead and I looked for the darkness cards, and I found the one called Dark. This has a passive ability called Aura. And just for clarification, it just says, as a free action, that we can attach this card to an active non-starter card, and then you may attach the card at the beginning of your regroup turn. So essentially, if the owner of this card would go ahead and attach it, and they can activate whatever it's attached to for free at the beginning of their regroup turn, which is cool. I have to decide if I want to do that or not. But either way, I'm going to buy this card. I already paid for the 2 tools, and I need to discard a card just to keep things rolling. Which one do I want to discard? Let's discard another blue one, just in case the blue player's tempted by them. All right, new one. Ooh, 4 potions. Look at that. Okay, so this means that only a wizard would be able to activate this card. That's why that icon is there, versus this icon means that anybody, like any of your units, could activate these cards. But for this one, a wizard would have to be used to activate it, and you would have to have an orb. And you gain the orbs by advancing. We'll talk about orbs in a second. You'd have to have an orb on this and use a wizard for the Bay of Sharks, so it's a really powerful card. And it says take 1 treasure token from the discard pile and add it to your supply with, if there's an orb on here, sorry, you don't have to have an orb, but if there's an orb on here, take a 2nd treasure token. Whew, sorry, that was not clear. But essentially, if somebody had this, they could put the wizard on it to grab a discarded token, or if they have an orb on here, it makes it even fancier. Let's bring this card back. And before too long, I'm going to have to figure out how I want to lay all of this stuff out. Let's slide these up here. I'm going to put this here. We just gained this icon, and so we're going to go ahead and start on that track there. So once you reach the top of any of these tracks, you gain an orb. The orbs can be used to activate those cards or to gain rewards up here. So blue, how are they going to get down there? All right, we are out of resources. I need resources to do anything, because take a look. Yeah, so I'm here. I would need resources to do this. I'd need resources to do that. So I could do a regroup action right now if I wanted to. Oh, do I want to? It is semi-tempting to do a regroup. Just pull my 1 worker back. I don't know that I want to spend my coins to get more cards. Well, I could spend cards to get more cards, but that's maybe a little silly. All right, let's do, am I going to do a regroup? This is not a strategy guide. Do not look to this for strategy. You might have certain ideas about how things should go, and you're probably right. I'm just playing for fun and trying to teach you how the game is played. I think what I will do is, because my goal is to eventually get to the dungeon, let's do regroup right now, and then I can replace next time down a little bit closer, and that will allow me a chance to get some of these other things. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to pull back. This is my regroup action. Remember, my workers, it says when you regroup, if you have 3 or more workers in Eldervale, it doesn't matter. You may advance 1 space on the glory track. I only pulled 1 worker off, so that's not happening. I'm going to put them here to gather 2 potions, and we'll go ahead and put them there. That was their regroup. Clearly, I thought this through extremely carefully. All right, so the red player. I could slot this right now. That's not a big deal, but just in case I want to save that spot for something else, let me hold off for a little bit. Again, I'm not quite ready to place the dragon. I am going to need some resources. Because, okay, here's what's rolling in my brain. I want to eventually place here, pull the monster in, and have a big fight. That would be cool. So in order for that big fight to really happen, I need to put somebody here, which means I would have to be able to discard 2 resources to draw some more magic cards. Okay, I have some magic cards I'm probably not going to use, so that's fine. Maybe I'll put my worker here, but I would also have to be ready to use the portal when I put somebody here. You have to be able to take the action in order to place there, so you can't just block people off for fun. I mean, a secondary option is to place down here, and in that situation, it's not that both monsters would rush. You don't have 2 monsters rushing at the same time. You would pick a monster to rush. And so, yeah, but if you go here, I guess the problem is if you go here, then you can't pull in as many people. So I'm going to stick with that plan. I just have to be prepared to spend some resources here, but also to spend a resource. I'll probably just bring in another worker or something cheap when we place at the portal. So I guess while we're here, let me just bring the worker over. We'll go right here. I need a resource for when we go to the portal to call somebody out. So probably just save a random resource and bring this guy out. I mean, I could discard this token, but I really want to put that token there, I think. So let me see if I can discard 2 cards. I don't want to discard this. I don't want to discard this. I could discard this. Play during your turn. Choose one of your tableau cards to activate it. Okay, let's discard these 2 cards in order. Here, I'm just going to do it off camera. So I'm paying those 2 cards, and then what happens is I draw 3 cards. Oops, that's too many. And then what happens is I draw 3 cards, add them into my hand, and altogether I have to discard 1 card. So let's look at these that I just drew. So I could either be 1 up on the purple track or spend a gem. Play after you roll the dice for any reason. You may re-roll up to 3 of the dice. That could be useful. Play after the battle has been rolled. After battle dice have been rolled, this card counts as if you had rolled an additional die with a value of 6. I love that. What's this one? Awakening. At the end of the game, this card is worth 5 if you have summoned your dragon and your wizard and your warrior and your wizard. I am definitely going to bring... Oh, man. I kind of like all of these. But... let's... Oof. Okay. I'm going to discard this one, I think. I mean, 5 points is nice, but that's kind of a long-term thing. These will help me in the immediate as I'm getting ready for battle. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that card. All right. So that's how that action works. You spend 2 resources, draw 3 cards, add them into your hand, and then you have to discard 1. And so I'm not sure. Again, strategically, who knows? That was probably silly. But I'm going for a long-term plan here. Okay, blue. We've got to get more cards into our tableau. There is one that's there. That would be great. I am on a first placement thing now because I don't have any units on the board now. So I have to place somewhere isolated. So I think what we're going to do is let's take this worker. We're going to go right here, grab this token, bring it back. And here we are. The red player is finally making their big move that we've kind of been planning. We're going to take the dragon. Remember that the dragon could be placed up to 2 spaces away from somebody else that's on the board already, but we're going to go right here to the portal. That is going to bring the monster over this way, but we're going to take our action first, so we're going to have to do the summon action. For the summon action, I'm going to go ahead and spend this potion in order to bring this worker up here. And now that the action is done, we're going to go ahead and do battle. A couple of things to keep in mind. Each monster has a few things worth noting here. First of all, they have 2 abilities. And keep an eye out for this symbol. I'm going to explain that symbol a little bit later, but it's not relevant right now. But basically, they have the immolate ability, and it says, when the Demon of Might moves into or is placed in a realm with the dwelling. So that's not happening. The dwelling is over here, so we're good. Then the dwelling's owner must discard 1 resource or lose 1 point. Fine. Then they have fire resistance. It says, fireball spells may not be used in a battle with the demon. That's fine. I don't have any fireball spells. We're going to use 5 dice in this battle. Now, the monsters all use the same, same set of dice, so these gray ones. And if we win, we either get to move up the glory track or we get to move up 1 on the red track. We'll have to make that decision when the time comes, assuming we win. Now, there are a few steps to battle, and so over here on our player reference sheet on the backside, it talks you through the steps of battle. And it will remind you right here that there is no battle during the peaceful beginnings. So we talked about that, and it says a battle is triggered when you place a unit in a realm occupied by a monster or an opponent's unit, or when the monster rushes. So you could place your people after your initial placement on a spot with a monster, and there will be a battle, or in our example, when it rushes. Here's the steps for battle. First of all, we join. So it says, beginning with the player to the left, each player may move any number of their adjacent units into the battle realm. So if the blue player had somebody over here, they could hop in if they wanted to be part of the battle for whatever reason, specifically for the reward if they were seeking that. The blue player doesn't want to do that, and they're not close, so that's fine. We need to determine the battle dice. So we're going to look at the units, the dwellings, and other modifiers. So what that means is, oh, and also, I am part of these people that may, hop into battle. And since the blue player, didn't bring people in, I could still bring my people in. So I'm going to do that. We're going to go ahead and bring all of these people over into the battle. And we have to determine the dice. So I've kind of got this dice tray I'm going to hold here, then I'll find a place for it. But basically, we know that the monster has 5 dice in this battle. And the dragon is going to provide 3 dice. And each of the workers is going to provide 1 die. And there are 3 workers there. So we get all 6 dice in the battle. This is excellent because it's going to help us fulfill, where was it? This one. We're going to be able to fulfill this quest. We just need to compete in a battle in which we're rolling all of the dice. So I just am going to play that card down, and I want to take care of it right now before I forget. So we got 1, 2, 3 points for this. And then once we've gone ahead and determined our battle dice, so we've done that, one thing I want to point out is you see that it mentions dwellings. Dwellings on the battleground or adjacent to it also add an additional die. So if this was a red dwelling right here, we would have been able to roll 1 more red die for that dwelling being there. And again, in that situation, pretend the blue had for whatever reason decided to join in on this battle. If it looked like this, blue would have gotten 1 die plus another die for having an adjacent dwelling. So just keep that in mind. But for now, we had the 5 dice here and the 6 dice here. If we wanted to, we could spend swords to add additional dice. Or if we had modifiers like this card that we're hoping to buy, that would be another example where you could, add other dice. So there are ways to add how many dice you've got. But basically, at this point, we're going to go ahead and roll the dice, determine the winner, gain glory, and remove casualties. We'll talk about those. So what happens is we just take all of the dice that are involved. Obviously, if there were multiple people, we could have people rolling the different sets, but we'll just go ahead and roll them all here. Roll all of the dice. And what you want to do is you kind of basically want to line things up in terms of greatest to leastest. And so we've got this player. Oh, crap. Looks like that. You guys, I think we lost this battle. Because basically what you're going to do is compare highest numbers. Oh my gosh, there's no way. Did we really lose that? Do I have a card that will help? I think I had a card that will help. Crap. Okay, so as it is right now, because the highest gray die was 5 and our highest red die was 4, we would lose the battle and all of our units would be put into the underworld, which means that they wouldn't be used to do worker placement stuff over here. That's tragic. So I did have some of these. I can't use this one because I don't meet either of those. After battle dice have been rolled, this card counts as if you had rolled an additional die with the value of 6. So I am going to go ahead and play this card. So this card acts like a die with a value of 6, which would mean that it's higher than the gray's 5, which means that we would win that battle. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this one. That was a little too close for comfort for me, and that's scary. But I'm going to go ahead and just move these dice. We'll return these ones. We're going to remove the monster from the map. Now, what I like to do here, let me show you where I put my monsters. Basically, if a monster hasn't been used yet, I like to keep their card face down like this so you can see all the art. If they have been defeated, I like to just put them up here with the card face up, because there are going to be cards that come up in the game, or there might be, that will let you dominate a monster. And essentially what that means is these monsters that have these lock symbols, you could take control of that monster and they can be a part of your units. They become essentially a monster that you control, that you can lay on the board. And so I'm going to put this here to show that he is dominatable if by chance somebody gets one of those cards. But for now, because we won a battle, we go ahead and slide this up. Just any battle, you go ahead and move up the glory track. And this will get me 2 points for this one. And because we beat this demon, we can choose, do we want to move up the glory track again or move up the red element track? That is kind of a tough call. Moving up here would get me 1 resource of any type, and resources are good, they're important. But moving up the red track is also good. I'm going to go ahead and move up the glory track because I plan on continuing to move up the red track later. So yeah, we'll go ahead and move up the glory track, which would gain me 1 resource of any type. I know I'm about to spend a bunch of swords, so let me go ahead and grab another sword here just so I have it as a backup. And I need to remember that I just completed a quest with the dragon, so I'm going to gain 3 points from that. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. And when you play quest cards, they don't get discarded like a normal card. They just get tucked somewhere. So we'll just go ahead and keep these here just so we have them. And just to confirm that I did this right, the dragon did have a special ability that says when your dragon helps win a battle, each defeated opponent must discard a resource. But the blue player wasn't in that battle, so they don't have to discard a resource or anything like that. But wow, that was a crazy turn. The score is currently red 10 and blue 11, so they really started to close the gap on that one, which is kind of exciting. I do have this one more worker here that I'll get to decide, do I actually want to play that worker this round, or do I just regroup and start over? I don't know, we're going to see. But for now, it's the blue player's turn, and they see a really nice opportunity for themselves, so we're going to go ahead over here. Now that the red player kind of cleared out of here, I was worried I was going to have to do a small battle with them, but now I don't have to. We're going to hop over here and grab this coin token. So many tokens, I've got to go to the dungeon. I'll do that soon. And do you know what? The red player actually wants to go to the dungeon as well before we get too excited. So we're going to go over to the dungeon. So that kind of stinkers the blue player's plan a little bit, but maybe not a ton. You'll see why here in just a second. But basically, we're going to the dungeon, so we're going to draw a new card. All right, so this is a black element one, and it's going to have 2 piles of things. I got to decide where to put it. Let's put it... I don't know. I don't know if there's amazing strategy to these decisions. Let's put it over here. So I'm just going to reach and grab 2 stacks. Here's the first stack. Put it right there. And the second stack, we'll put it over here. I'm not intending to build this pyramid shape. It just kind of is happening. All right, so that is that part. Now we are going to have to buy 1 card, and we'll have to discard another card. So I am spending 3 swords, 1, 2, 3, in order to buy this card, and we'll flip this one. Well, I guess we don't flip over just yet, to be careful. So I'm going to buy this card, bring it over to the tableau, and I need to discard a card because I can't afford to buy another one. Tough decision. I imagine that the blue player's probably gunning for this one, so let's get rid of it. It just costs 2 potions, so I'm going to go ahead and discard that card. Flip over this one, and it's 3 potions, so the blue player could still afford it, and heck, it might be even better because it has 2 spots open. And they have, yeah, that could actually have helped the blue player more than they meant to. Oh, and let's flip this one over. And let's read what these do. All right, the Boiling Cauldron, it has 2 slots open here. It says, Vault. At the end of the game, gain 2 points for each different type of resource depicted on the tokens above. Okay, so this isn't a worker placement spot. It's not that you can actually pick anything up off of those. You would just be pouring, yeah, you'd essentially just be putting tokens in there to gain points at the end of the game. Okay. This one down here, also not a worker placement spot. It's the Wall of Fire. Wall. Each time an opponent moves up to the... Whoa. Each time an opponent moves up the fire track, gain 1 gem. Ooh, I like that. So the blue player is also interested in that one, but they definitely don't have the resources for it. but we've got another card, so we need to move up the track one more time. And there we go. So yes, the blue player's plans have been hampered a little bit, but it's not the worst. One thing I want to consider is this fact that I'm all out of spaces for tokens, so I will go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and discard this token. Remember, discarded tokens just kind of go here weirdly. In order to get a gem, which, fine, I mean, I don't necessarily need that gem, but I wanted to open up a spot, and I really like these other tokens here. And I guess what I want to say is this. I absolutely could pop in here and have a fight, but the red player could bring all of these people in, so it wouldn't be a nice fight. And so I want to stay away from this for now, but I know that they're going to be regrouping next turn. They're all out of units to put out, so they're going to be pulling all of these units back, so that's great. I'm kind of just stalling in the meantime, and so I think as a part of my stall, let's come over here, and I'll grab this token, because it at least gives me the option of one hammer or one potion. And yep, the red player has to regroup, and so we're going to start pulling those back one at a time. And I do have, let's see, I have these spots available, but I'm really not going to, I'm not going to be able to summon. I don't have the resources for it, unless I choose to discard a card, but I think I liked my cards. I will gather, for sure. I'm not on a place where I can do a dwelling, so I'm not going to do that. I can come to Death's Door to get a potion. Oh, in fact, let's go ahead and slot this. Okay, so I can gather, I can come over to the Brass Door, I can come to Death's Door, and so essentially I'll be able to use 3 of my workers. So what I'm going to do is a little unconventional. You really should pull these back one at a time, but I just don't think timing is going to matter for anything I'm doing right now. So I'm going to pull back, and we'll just put one here, we'll put one here, and we will put one here. So that means I'm going to gain a gem. I'm going to gain a hammer and 2 swords. I'm going to gain a potion, and then I need to choose either a potion or a sword. I really like swords, but potions are going to be really valuable right now too. Let's grab a potion or sword. I think we'll grab a potion. Okay. So we did all of our worker placement. There's nobody in the underworld, so I don't need to do anything there, but we'll go ahead and pull these back. And now the blue player is going to hop over there to the dungeon. They did so quietly and peacefully. Let's see what we drew. Ooh, we drew the blue monster, so I got to decide where that one's going to go. I kind of do like this pocket of safety, but I also like making pretty table space. Do you know what? Let's put it over here. Because, yeah, we could try to block off the red player, but we'd also be blocking off ourselves. So the dread crocodile has come in here. Let's do some noise. Oh, that was beautiful. And here, I'm going to turn that back off. I just don't want it. It doesn't matter. All right, so dread crocodile also has some special abilities. 5 dice, same kind of a reward as usual. So we'll go ahead and put that there. Now I have 2 wild resources, I have 2 potions, and I have 1 gem. So I think my big question is it the Bay of Sharks or is it the Boiling Cauldron? The Boiling Cauldron will help me clear out some of my tokens, but not really in the best way. Like, I guess it could get me some points at the end of the game. This one says take 1 treasure token from the discard pile when we put our wizard on that spot and add it to your supply. If I have an orb, I take a second one. Holy, that would kind of be good. I'd have to get my wizard out, but I might be able to start doing that soon. But that's going to wipe out my resources. Wow. Let me think. The vault could be like 8 points if I had those split tokens and they were all different. That could be 8 points worth. But these tokens are so useful too. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna grab the Bay of Sharks, and I think I don't want the red player to have this one, so I'm gonna go ahead and discard this card, and then we'll go ahead and reveal what's left. Oh, let's just take a quick look before we cut over there. So this one, underwater, aura again. Place this card in an opponent's tableau. Whoa. Place this card on an opponent's tableau card. Whenever the attached card is used by your opponent, you also gain the benefits. That's kind of awesome. The way that this card works is you could either put a token or an orb on here. And what that means is when you place a worker on this card, then you either pay the orb or you pay, I think that's right. Why would you pay more orbs to get, that's crazy. But either way, you would pay what's over here to gain what's over here. So you're going to put 2 things down and you would get 2 points for that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, orbs are not the easiest to come by. I don't know that you would want to put an orb here necessarily, but you could. Or another thing is, if you're really good at getting potions, you could put a single potion token here and have a double of something over here and just turn in 1 potion to get. So there are good uses for this card. I just don't know why. I don't know that you would really, it doesn't matter. I don't know why you'd want to put an orb there necessarily, but maybe. But hey, we just got another blue card, so we're going to be able to move, I don't know where to put that. We're going to move up the blue track, which is cool because we're pretty close to getting that orb. And really quickly, I forgot to pay for that card, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm paying my 2 potions and my 2 coins. Before we start the red player's turn, I just want to remind you there are 2 endgame triggers. One of them is if we run out of location tiles, and there are only 3 left. So by that calculation, we're getting kind of close to the end. Of course, it'll just depend on how often are we coming to the dungeon in order to get cards. Who knows? The other endgame trigger is if somebody's built all 6 dwellings, and obviously we're really far away from that trigger. So I don't know. I'm really clearly just going off the cuff here. Now, I've been standing here for a good while trying to figure out exactly what I want the red player to do and to focus on for right now. And one thing that I noticed is that it would be nice to get the wizard out, specifically for this ability, but also because if I can win a battle with the wizard, that's 4 points. To get the wizard out, it's going to need 2 potions and a scroll. Okay, well, I've got the potions, that's not a big deal. What I'm lacking are scrolls, and scrolls are kind of hard to come by because I keep ignoring them, I guess. I don't know. But what I guess what I want to say about that is I'm going to do something a little bit crazy, maybe. We'll find out. And I'm going to send the dragon onto the board this first time. Now, it's their first placement, so it has to go somewhere where there isn't anybody else. And what I'm going to do, and why this might be a little crazy, is I'm going to send my dragon over here to this spot to pick up these scrolls. And that's actually going to cause the Chaos Beast to rush in. Now, we didn't really talk about the Chaos Beast special ability, we just kind of showed it earlier. Basically, this thing is diseased, and at the end of the battle, every unit that fought in this battle is going to the underworld no matter what, even if the beast is defeated. And so I know I'm going to be losing my dragon right now, but I think that's going to be okay. It will also give us a chance to talk about the underworld, which we haven't really done yet. How far into this video are we? Anyway, but for now, I'm going to bring this back because you always do your action before you take care of fighting. The Chaos Beast is going to move over. I'm not going to turn on the sound. The Chaos Beast moves over. We're going to initiate a fight. You start with the next player around the table and decide if anybody who's adjacent wants to jump in. I'm going to guess that the blue player doesn't necessarily want to jump into this battle. Just a guess. And so we have our dragon here, and we have the Chaos Beast. They're going to start a big old battle, and the Chaos Beast has 4 dice. So I'm going to start setting, oh, that's 3. I'm going to start setting that up. I'll be re-rolling these, don't worry. And the dragon brings 3 dice along with them. And I think I want to spend 1 sword because I have the Flaming Sword ability over here, which says in battle, the first sword you spend grants you 1 additional battle die. And so I am going to go ahead and spend that 1 sword to add 2 dice. And I'm going to hope that that's enough. Let's see, what were my abilities? I did have this one ability here, that if I spent a gem, I can re-roll dice for any reason, and I could re-roll up to 3. So I do have a gem just in case I need to do that. But with all of that set up, I think we're ready to go ahead and battle. So we've got the 4 dice, and then I have my 5 dice over here. And obviously I didn't have anybody else to bring into this battle. So let's go ahead and roll. And we're looking, oh my gosh, crap. So we're looking for highest rolls. Again, I kind of like to put them in order so you could break the ties kind of visually quickly. And what I could see is I am going to need to re-roll because we both tied on the 6, but then their 6 is going to beat my 5. So I could re-roll up to 3 dice by playing this card and spending a gem because I'm not up on the purple track at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and discard both of these. And that's going to let me re-roll 3 of them. So, oh my gosh, crap, what was that? It was a 6 and a 6 and a crap. I messed it up. I was just trying to move them out of the way. Oh my gosh. Okay, we have 2 6s over there. I get it. I'll have to rewind. Rewind. Okay, either way, I ended up with 2 more 6s. And so it was 6 to 6 like that. And then I don't remember what this one was. I have no idea. But my other 6 would have beat it. So once again, we won that battle. And anytime you win a battle, you move up on here. Now this icon means that you get to move up once on any of these tracks that we want to. And oh man, that is kind of a fair question. I think we will just go ahead and bump ourselves up on the red track, try to claim that orb. I'm also, of course, tempted to move that up or to put on a purple or to move on blue. I don't know. There's lots of options there. I think that's going to be the best one. And then, again, for defeating the Chaos Beast, I either get to move up once, or I get to, I get to move up once on the purple track, or I get to move up once on the glory track. I'm going to go for the glory track, where you can either get the orb that's here, or 2 points. I'm going to go ahead and bring the orb back. And remember that the orb can be used on different tableau cards, or you could place your orb up here to claim one of those rewards, things like that. And so yes, the Chaos Beast is defeated. I will go ahead and move them off camera. Again, I like to keep the card face up just to show that they have been defeated in case somebody gets a card that lets you dominate. But the special ability of the Chaos Beast, because he's super gross, is he also did take the dragon out. So the dragon goes to the underworld. And anytime somebody goes to the underworld, however many units you lose, each unit will bring you back 1 sword. Up to your maximum of 5 swords. So either way, I'm good to claim a sword for my dragon going to the underworld. I'm down to this single card, so I'm going to want to get more cards, but I'm also prepared to probably bring out my wizard at some point, so that could be useful, hopefully. The blue player is, sorry, I know there's a glare. The blue player does need to recruit because we're all out of available workers or units over here. And I'm really trying to decide if I'm going to... I mean, do I have the ability? If I really wanted to, I could summon, or I could dwell, but let's start by gathering. And specifically, I know I'm going to want the wizard because remember, one of my cards got me points for having gems, and there's all these gems sitting over here. So if I could get my wizard and I could get an orb in this next round, that's going to help out a lot. But also, it's really good to get those dwellings out. So, I don't know. But either way, let's grab this one first. And, well, we're going to put it over here to grab 2 potions. And I don't have a scroll in order to summon my wizard. But I do have this coin sitting here, and I don't really have places for them to go. So that's tempting. The other thing is, I really want to, if I could make a dwelling, that would be cool too. So, like, I could build a dwelling right here. And that would end up being 4 points for that dwelling because it would be 2 points for this one and 2 points because there's a dwelling over here. So am I going to summon and dwell? Maybe. But I just remembered I am regrouping and there were 4 workers out there. So because of this special ability, I am going to be able to go ahead and move up the glory track 1 space. Oh, this will be perfect because I could go here, claim a scroll, and then let's pull this one back. And we will use that to summon a wizard. And so I'm going to bring my wizard out by spending 2 potions and a scroll. That wizard's obviously going to be helpful for the Bay of Sharks, and it's going to be helpful because it has the special ability that when you use your wizard to perform an action, you can substitute potions in to pay for other things. So, man, if I can find a way to get a bunch of potions, that would be so awesome. Let me keep that in mind. And if I really wanted to, I could put a dwelling here to move up twice on the black track. But I don't even own any black cards or anything like that, so I don't know that that's overly necessary. And it wouldn't get me any points because there are no brown tiles or dwellings nearby. So I do think I'm going to pull this one so that I could turn this one into a dwelling by paying 2 hammers. And so I'm going to go ahead and use that one to dwell. I'm going to use these two to pay for the 2 hammers. So we will discard these as we bring over our second dwelling. So I'll get that in a second, but we'll discard these over here. Try to keep them face up because I'm going to have that Bay of Sharks ability here that I can use. And we'll go ahead and place that there. So I'll get 2 points here, 2 points here. So we'll come on up to 15 points. I didn't have anybody in the underworld, so I don't need to worry about that. I'll just bring these ones back. And that's good. Now I'm down to 3 workers, so I have to be careful about this, especially if they get roped into a fight. So I may want to try to get another worker out there if I can. I don't know. I got to figure out my main focus here in a little bit. But for sure, I'd like to get those gems to fulfill this quest thing. What was it? This one right here. But I don't know. I also really want to get... What do I want? I want strategy. That's what I want. But before I forget, let's also hop up here onto the black track. So now the red player is, I could either regroup to bring my dragon back. It's semi-tempting, but I really want to have a bunch of people out there so I could take advantage of grabbing up all of this stuff. So what I think I'm going to do instead is, let's send a worker out. Even though we sent our dragon out last time, this is a first placement because we don't have any units on the board. The really big question is, where do we even put this? Now, let's talk about the crocodile special ability. So basically, here, you don't need to read it. The idea here is, let me put it somewhere else to explain. The idea about the crocodile's ability is, if you put it here, a normal creature would rush in, but the crocodile actually pushes away from where you place your unit if you go next to it. So if we were here and I placed here, it would go away like that. Unless it can't go away. So if I do place here, it is going to hop into my space there. I say this because I kind of want this coin, but I can't just send my fighter to get this coin token. This thing has 5 dice and my fighters have 1. So not a great idea to send it that way. I could come over this way to pick up the potion and the gem. I just don't know that I had a plan in my brain and I don't remember exactly what it was, which is amazing, I'm sure. Oh no, I do remember what it was. I am going to come down here. I want this token. It's going here kind of, my plan was to get my wizard. This token, am I doing this right? Oh my gosh, I should have thought this through. I was thinking about this token going here just to beef up that ability to also grab a potion and a diamond or gem and keep it away from the blue player. But I also am going to be able to summon my wizard because I have these scrolls. That's right, that's right. Sorry, recording and controlling 2 people on a pretty complicated game. It's easy to get, mistakes. But let me say it so that I kind of remember it. I'm also going to I'm going to basically move my workers this way. So my next one here, summon my wizard, hop up here to grab some more magic cards because those magic cards will help guide me towards what I want to do. Now the blue player does have a wizard, but I'd really like to get the blue orb. So I need either a blue card, which would cost 3 potions to get the next blue card in that card display for the tableau, or I need another dwelling on the blue spot. Maybe that's where I need to aim right now, I think. Okay, we are going to do that. Let's go right here. I don't necessarily know the red player's planning on coming this way, so we are going to have a small conflict, but that'll be good to have an example in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and take this token, and that'll be fun and exciting. And there are no more tokens here, but that just means when the red player places here, which, do you know what, they're going to do it. Let's just grab one of the red workers. So when the red player places here, we will have a conflict, but they're just going to pick up a potion. They don't get a token or anything. So let's give them that. And probably sensing that the blue player is aiming to dominate this. Okay, so the red player goes here, which means they're initiating the fight. The blue player has a chance to bring anybody adjacent. The sad part is their dwellings are over here. If this fight was happening here, their dwellings would each give them 1 die in the battle, but that's not happening. The blue player can't bring anybody else over. But the red player will bring this fighter over. And they could spend some swords. Maybe they will spend one sword. Just because they have that ability there. So yeah, they're going to go ahead and spend one sword. Which means that the blue player is going to get 1 die for the 1 fighter. And the red player gets 2 dice, 1 for each fighter. Plus, they spent a sword. Plus, they have that special ability. Now, we've seen how things go. It's possible the blue player could win if they roll a 6 and the red player doesn't. Let's see what happens. So, yeah. All right. Okay. I thought that they had it. Okay, so they did tie here, but then the red player has this one. So the red player wins. They move 1 up on the glory track, get any resource. I know I have my 2 scrolls here, but let's just grab a different scroll so that we could use that to summon our wizard instead of these ones. And very sadly and unfortunately, the blue player has to, any losing people here have to go to the underworld. That sucks because that's going to keep them from moving up the glory track, which really would have helped them now. But the small consolation is they'll pick up a sword. I guess we could have spent that coin as a sword, but they're just not really a fighting people. So we've got to find a way to advance up the blue track a different way. How are we going to do that? I don't know. And that was the red player's turn, so now it's the blue player's turn. But we're on first placement rules once again because we don't have any units on the field. And I don't know what to do. I guess I want to stay safer. What do I want to do? I need to move up the blue track. To do that, I'm going to need to either buy a blue card or get a blue dwelling. No more, well, that blue dwelling I can't really go after right now. Unless I really wanted to go fight. I don't know. I think we're going to come over here and grab a coin. I guess if I could summon this guy out. Yeah. Well. Alright. I have some thoughts. We'll talk about it after the red player's turn. But really fast, I totally forgot, and I'll make sure I annotate this. I should have put a stack of tokens right here. Sorry, I just caught that in the corner of my eye. There we go. The reason I thought this is, there is not a great way. There is kind of a way to get this one that would only be 1 potion as a dwelling for the blue player. But it would be kind of tricky. We'll see. So the red player is just going to continue. This is their summon action. So we'll come up to the portal. And let's summon our wizard. That's going to be 2 potions and a scroll. Now remember, their special ability is in battle, if we have 4 or more magic cards in our hand, we get to roll 2 additional dice. That's cool, but I'm down to 1 card, so I'm going to need to be building more. I got to get more cards. Alright, now remember, every single wizard has the ability to come out on a space that is not occupied by anybody. Like, I don't have to be adjacent to my first worker. I could put my wizard somewhere else. I'm debating this because I could put my wizard out in a way that would let them fight the crocodile. Like, I could put the wizard here. That would bring the crocodile down. We'd have a fight. I would lose, I'm sure. But that would also open up this space for me to put a worker here, and then I would be able to build a dwelling, which would move me up the track. It's not a brilliant plan. But I also would like to get... I mean, I could get this card. It's not that I'm overly excited about the card, but it does move me up the blue track, which would get me the blue orb, which I could then place on this card to really beef up this card so that when I recall, I could put the wizard on that spot. I can't do that if the wizard's dead. I do have 3 potions sitting right here that I could use, or I have these. So, I mean, there are options. Oh, I don't know. All right, here's what we're going to do. Do I love the plan? No. But we're going to come here, draw another tile, bringing us, that much closer to the end. And we will flip it over. So this is the black monster layer. I want to keep that away from me if I can. So it's going to come up this way, bring in the Death Reaper right here. Special ability Fear. After a battle is triggered, Sorry, let's try that again, reading the words. After a battle is triggered with the Death Reaper, additional units may not join the battle. So it's just whoever you drop in there, and they have 4 dice, so probably that'd be good for a dragon kind of a thing. All right, so that, sorry, that's there. Oh, let's grab a stack. So all of the black tiles are out, so we know there's 1 red one and 1 purple one, because there's always 3 of each color. Okay. All right, so there's that. I am going to go ahead and spend these potions, so I'm just going to put them in that discard pile over there, and that will allow me to grab this card, and then I'll need to discard a card also, so let me, well, I guess I won't flip that yet. What did I want to do? Oh, I need to get, you know what, let's grab this one too. No, I want to discard one. Let's discard this one. I don't really like this one. Okay, we're discarding that one, so we're going to flip these 2 over. Ooh, that's a good one. Something like that. Oh, and then, because it's an aura, it doesn't matter. What that means is that you're going to attach this to a card. And this says that we need to attach it to an opponent's tableau, and whenever the attached card is used by your opponent, you also gain the benefit. And so let's go attach it to their copy of Death's Door. So this really belongs to the blue player. I wish there was a good way to annotate, or like to show this is really the blue player's card, because for now it's just like a memory thing, but I'll do my best to remember that when the red player uses this card, I get to use that card as well. And we go ahead and move ourselves up the blue track. We take this, and I will place it on there. Okay, we need more cards, so we're going right here. I think we'll discard these 2. And remember, the way that this works is we draw 3 cards. I have the pile off camera, so we draw 3 cards, add it to our hand, look at all of them, discard 1. So we already knew this one, we were keeping it. After battle dice have been rolled, this card counts as an additional 6. We love that card. To complete this quest, you must have at least 2 potions in your supply. Gain 1 for each potion. I mean, that one's okay, but not my favorite for this specific person. Okay, you'd have to be 3 up on the purple track or spend 2 swords. Play when a monster rushes into a realm that contains one of your units. Dominate that monster. So we've been talking about the word dominate, and basically, that's crazy. I'm going to keep that. So if I can get somebody to rush into my spot, I could spend 2 swords, and all of a sudden I would own that monster. That's kind of fun. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and discard this card. I now have 3 cards in my hand, which isn't the 4 that I want for my wizard ability, but that's okay. It's still good stuff. Now the blue player is going to trigger a fight because I'm going to want to summon this worker out if I can. I've got 3 resources that, probably these 3. Am I going to do this? I have this card. Where was it? Oh, but I don't have 2 magics. Oh, what I was kind of thinking is to summon, but let's not summon by triggering a fight. Let's not fight. I'm going to come over here because it is next to my units, which is fine. And grab these. Let's do that. Now, if I can do this carefully, can I also dwell? I might be able to dwell with these ones. And I would have to use all 3 of those to summon. I'm trying to think of how I could get my last fighter out there. I was trying to get that fighter up there in order to, or this worker out, so that I could place it and pull back 3 workers. For this ability, it's just not going to happen this round, so I got to let that go. But I can do other cool things when I regroup. And it's not the most magical move in the world, but we will send out our wizard. I don't have the ability to, like, I can't go here and try to get these guys in here for a fight, because I don't have the ability, I don't have 2 potions to dwell. So we're just going to come up this way and we'll grab this token. And I know I could use this at any time up to claim the rewards. I just don't know exactly which rewards that I want right now. I guess I could get 2 magic cards. I'm going to hold on to this just for a little bit longer. Alright, so the blue player is going to start by regrouping. What I'm going to do is we're going to pull the wizard. He comes here to the Bay of Sharks. Let's put that underneath here. And because the Bay of Sharks has an orb on it, we get 2 treasure tokens from the discard pile, which is cool. I mean, I was going to go for both of those, but maybe I want this one and this one. And, oh, can I do this? I think I can. Well, I guess if I need to be really careful, I could discard this one to grab a coin so that I have space. I should look it up. I think you could have more than one, like, maybe you can't. Hold on. I think I'm doing this right. Like, you can't ever hold more than 4, but you can, at any point during your turn, convert one of your tokens to the resource. So I think that I'm okay this way. And I know it's kind of screwing me over on the glory track business, but if I can move up here, that's pretty good. That's going to move me up twice on the black track. That's, I guess I feel like that's probably worth it. So, or was I going to summon? Oh no. Well, let's not summon. Let's dwell. I was thinking about the whole reason I wanted to summon was so that I could get this ability, but then I'm going to dwell. I think I've screwed myself out of that ability, which is a darn shame because that would have been another way to move myself up the glory track. It's okay. Strategy is not my strong suit, and I'm still a good person. Oh no. But what have I done? The other problem is I was going to gather 2 potions instead of building my dwelling. Oh man, what do I do? I guess I could come back and dwell on that. Let me come back and dwell on that thing later. So we will summon. I think this will help. Okay, I'm going to start by coming down here to gather. Again, another episode of Tom, you should have been thinking about these things. Okay, let's go there to grab my 2 potions. Let's grab my worker, and I'm going to spend 3 resources to bring my last worker out. I do have that other worker in the underworld, but that's okay. I think I like where I'm headed with this. So any 3 resources, but I want to be careful. I want to save these to dwell. I'm going to save those to dwell. I want to save these for that card. And then I've got potions. I need to hold on to that sword for fighting. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2. Let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3 to get my last worker out. Yeah, that'll work okay. I can figure out, I can dwell in a different way. But I do need to bring back my worker from the underworld. And we've got these here. Like that. Okay. Now it's time for the red player to regroup. And I really just have to decide, do I even want to do a dwelling or not? The dwellings would be good and useful. I can't dwell up here because that's a wizard, but I could do a dwelling down here, which would get me 1 up on the blue track. Let me think. I guess the first thing that I want to do is put this here. And then I'm just grabbing the wizard. I don't have any need for, so these worker icons, you could put anybody on those to activate them. It doesn't have to be a worker. Now I'm going to put the wizard here to grab a gem and a potion. Let me bring this worker to grab a hammer and 2 swords. And of course it's not ideal to utilize this one because it's going to give the blue player stuff. But it's also kind of dumb to resist it because of that reason. So let's get a potion and a sword for us. And then the blue player is going to choose 2 potions. And I think I will go ahead and use this one to dwell. Well, sure. So I'm going to grab this and put it here. That costs 2 potions. I will move up the blue track and I'll get 4 points because there were no other dwellings here. So now we're on the blue track and what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And that was the last unit on the board, so I'll also bring the dragon down. Coming back from the underworld. All right, blue. Now I have some thoughts. I'm still nervous. Let's start by sending this one out right there. And we'll pick up this one. And crap again. I I don't know if I just need to, I'm going to go back and reread and just double check to make sure I'm kind of doing this right. I just don't know if you could just grab the token and just, like before you slot it, just take the resource. I'm not sure. I'm going to go look at that. I don't know. As I was looking, there wasn't a lot of clarity in the rulebook, so I might have to go dig deeper sometime, but it's not going to be right this second. All right, so next, what do I want to do for the red player? Their goals are really good goals. I think I'd like to get a dwelling built. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm coming right here. We'll take this. Because if I could get, I need to have 4 cards in my hand and send a wizard. So I think the wizard can handle either monster, and I would get to choose which monster rushes me. So, I mean, I could just drop the wizard over here since nobody's over here, but I think I will send a worker to the mage tower next, and then bring the wizard over and have a fight. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. But for the blue player, we're going to come over this way and grab this. And I'm still battling this. I don't know exactly how this works, and it really might be in the rulebook and I'm just missing it, but we'll keep playing it the safe way. Like, ideally, I would just use this token right this second, but I don't know if that's how that could work. And I really don't know why I just grabbed a hammer instead of a potion. I definitely know I want potions. My bad. My total bad. Okay, now we're going to go get some cards. So I need to spend any 2 resources. I think I want to hold on to this hammer because I could bring out my fighter. Let me just go ahead and get rid of both of these scrolls. And that will allow me to draw 3 cards. Bring them into my hand. And discard 1. Okay. At the end of the game, this card is worth 3 points if your marker is on the last place or tied on the lowest space. Nope, that's not going to happen. So I probably am going to just discard that one. At the end of the game, this card is worth 2 points per quest you have completed. That's great because we're completing quests. We'll keep that. At the end of the game, this card is worth 2 points and 1 point. Whoa. And for each spell card, at the end of the game, this card is worth 2 points. Plus an additional 1 point, that's how it reads, for each card that you have, for each spell card. So that has that icon there. So I've got a few, but I'm in theory going to use them. But if I don't, there's that. Okay, well, we know which card we're discarding, so let me get rid of that. And we are ready to send our wizard into a nice fight. Just so that we can keep things clear, I'm going to go ahead and discard this token and draw a card. And let's see, I'm just drawing it. That card says, perform a ritual. To complete this quest, you must cast at least 1 spell. Gain 2 for each spell cast this turn. A maximum of 6 points. Well, I wasn't really planning on casting that spell anytime soon. I do have that spell, which is good. Yeah, okay. Well, I have it if I need it. Okay, next up, we're going to go do some damage. So the wizard goes here, but first I'm going to do a dwelling action. So let's go ahead and convert this guy over here to a dwelling. And to do that, costs 2 potions. I am just going to go ahead and use these tokens here for that. And before I forget, let's put ourselves here. Now, in a 4-player game, in a 2-player game, this isn't an issue because you have 4 markers and there are only 4 colors available. If this was a 3 or 4-player game, then you would have more elements available than you have tokens. And in that case, if you decided you wanted to move a token off a track, you can, but you'd have to start down at the bottom of the new track. So if I was out of tokens and I needed to make this call, I could bring a token from any of these others, but they'd have to start down here. So just FYI. Now, I got to decide which monster is going to rush in. I mean, I'm not afraid of the 5 dice necessarily. 4 dice is nicer, but I wouldn't be able to bring anybody else in, but I don't necessarily need to bring anybody else in. So I guess let's bring this one in. He's going to have 4 dice. The wizard gets 1. Plus, when the wizard is in battle, you have 4 more magic cards in your hand, which we do. We get 2 additional dice. I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 sword to get 2 more dice. And let's spend 1 more sword to get the final die here. Okay, so that's kind of how we're going into battle. And I think I am good to just go ahead and fight. Let's do it. Oh, crap-oly. I cannot believe it. Hold on. Oh my gosh. 6651. And we have 5553. That's really stupid. Did I have any other cards that can help? Let's look. Nope. Play when a monster rushes into a realm that contains one of your units. Dominate. Oh, I totally forgot I had that. I could have done that. That would have been fun too. Okay. Nope. I need to win. Play after the battle has been rolled. This card counts as a 6, but that wouldn't help me win because then it would be 655 and they'd be 666 or 66. No. I can't believe I lost that. I had so many more dice. Crap. I think I just lost that. That's so stupid. Okay, we're bringing... Oh my gosh. Yeah. This goes here. I got a sword as a consolation. That was kind of crap. I didn't think that was going to happen. Okay, my rolling is winning. Okay, blue. I just want to keep us safe as possible, I think. So let's bring out this one. We'll go right here. Bring these swords. I like having these 2 tokens, you know? And I'm feeling kind of angry. Like, I want to do some damage. But I don't have 2 hammers. So I got to get a hammer. I can't really get a hammer, but I can get a coin. All right, here's what we're going to do. Remember, the dragon can go up to 2 spaces away from one of your units because they're flying. So that's our only unit, so we can go up to 2 spaces away. We're going to go right there. Let's bring back this coin. And now I'm pissed. So I got to decide who's coming in. So I placed here, but he can't go this direction. So he would either rush in or he would. So we're gonna bring this butthole in. All right, so he has 4 dice. The dragon gets 3. Plus I'm gonna spend a sword to add 2 more. And am I spending another sword? Probably, because we saw how this went down last time, to add my last one. Oh, do you know what? I actually don't need to do that because, or no, I do get this last one. I don't need to spend a sword because I've got a dwelling right next door. So adjacent dwellings of yours get you an extra die. And let's go ahead and fight. All right, so the gray is 5411 and we are 6654. So we won that battle. Wahoo. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove that fool. We get to go 1 up 1 on the track. Which track do I want to go up on? I don't know. Probably red, so I can get this orb. Wahoo. And then I get to choose if I want to go up the glory track again, or if I want to move up the black track. Let's go up the glory track and grab another orb. I know I need to use these orbs as soon as possible. I just want to make sure that I know how I want to use them. Did I do anything? No. Oh, I keep forgetting I could dominate a monster. That would be fun to do in this video. And I didn't do that. Okay. I gotta win that battle with that wizard. Okay, not totally sure this is the right way to go, of course, but I think... Okay, I have a plan. It's a weird plan, but it utilizes a lot of my abilities, which I guess is probably strategically the right thing to do. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna send this one to the dungeon, which means we're only gonna have 1 tile after this one, which would trigger the end of the game once that one gets drawn. Basically, when you trigger the end of the game, you take your turn, and then everybody, including yourself, gets 1 more turn. So here we've got this one, and just for, you know, beauty's sake, we're gonna put it up here, and we'll grab these 2 stacks. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend these 2 hammers and this coin in order to grab this card. And I'm specifically doing this because I know it's near the end of the game. And so this is going to be a way for me to help myself. Basically, this card, you can attach it. You attach it to a card. This is the only card I can attach it to. With these aura cards, you can't attach them to, your starting card. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it to this card some way. Sure, whatever. But what this means is that if my wizard is in the underworld, I could still use this card with my wizard when I bring my wizard back, which is great because I'm about to send him to a painful place. So that was that, but I still need to discard a card. I know that I don't want this one, but I also don't want the red player to have it because they do have their wizard out. I just don't want it because I don't want to have 2 wizard spots. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this one, and we replenish. So here's our new card. Necromancy. At the beginning of your turn, if you have an orb on this card and you do not have a dominated monster, choose one destroyed monster and dominate it. Very cool. I don't know that we'll be able to buy that and use that this game. Another vault at the end of the game. Gain 2 for each tool icon on the tokens above and 1 for each tool in your supply. Ooh, that would be cool. Oh, but I just got rid of my tool tokens. Dang it, but I could get them back. Ooh, I could get them back with the Bay of Sharks. Okay, I'm thinking. And knowing that soon, because you could do this anytime, I'm going to go ahead and discard both of these just so I have some space, and grab these, just because you can do this anytime during your turn. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put those into the discard pile. I have a plan, just trust me. Oh, but part of that plan is I'm going to go ahead and do this mirror. No, not that one. I want to do this one. I know it's not great. No, what is it? It's only 3 points, but we're going to do it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this quest to gain 3 points, 1 for each of these gems here. I just don't want to keep delaying that. So we moved up 1 for getting that black card, and we just got 1, 2, 3 points from those gems. Now I'm kind of mad at myself because I am pretty set up and was ready to plop here and make a dwelling here, because that would have been 2, 4, 6 points, which is great. But my dragon's here, so I can't. So I don't know if I should be regrouping right now or placing my last worker. I mean, I could place them here, and I could eventually do a dwelling here. That would also be 6 points. Ooh, I just talked myself into that. So I'm going to bring my last worker here, and they'll grab this one. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I could use this 1 potion. Yeah, let me grab the, well, I'll just keep it here. But what I want to do is use this orb to get 2 more potions. Oops. Don't worry, I'm probably going to nab those, you know. But I'll be able to use these 3 potions to get a dwelling, move up twice on the purple track. That's probably good news. Now this is the plan for the blue player. Remember that they can go anywhere on the board that's not occupied. So I'm coming over to the mill because I want to do a dwelling action. I'm using my wizard, which means I can use potions to pay for my action. So I'm going to go ahead and pay these 3 potions as if they were 3 hammers, and turn this into a dwelling, which I still have my 3 workers, so when I go to regroup, I'm still going to be able to move up the glory track. But this would normally send the crocodile this way, but they can't, so they're going to come this way. We will have a fight. My wizard's going to die. I don't know that I even want to try to prevent that necessarily, but that's okay because when he goes to the underworld, I could still bring him back in a normal way. Now, adjacent units do have the opportunity to join in, and I am going to have them do that, I think. Oh, okay, I am going to have them bring the dragon in just for fun, because I don't really want them to bring this fighter in, because I need that fighter to help get a dwelling. Yeah, if they both died, then I'm screwed. I can't do anything. So I am going to go ahead and keep this fighter out, but keep these ones here so that I can do my dwelling. Let's just bring the dragon in just for fun. I mean, strategically, is it great? Probably not, but it's still fun. And so we have the 4... Nope, the crocodile gets 5. Okay, so 5 dice from the crocodile, and then we have 3 for the dragon. But you know what? The dragon, just so they can stay in, they're going to spend a sword and add 2 more. So spending that sword, Okay, and oh, let me put this down. And do you know what? We're having fun. Now, I could not have used this dominate card because the dragon didn't, or sorry, the crocodile didn't rush into a place where I was. I actually joined into this battle. So let's go ahead, and I know that I have more swords coming later, so we will spend this extra sword to get the 6th die. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get everything rolled by Blue Wizard. Wouldn't that be funny if the wizard rolled 6 and nobody else did? All right, here we go. Oh my gosh, okay, well the blue did roll 6, but so did everybody else. Okay, so that doesn't count. Now the next highest is a, there we go. Okay, so the red player won that battle, which means the crocodile is gone. The red player moves 1 here to get 2 resources. I'm just gonna grab 2, what am I grabbing? Oh, I'm gonna grab a potion and a sword. And then they could either move up the glory track or up the blue track. They don't own anything that's blue. They don't have any blue cards. They don't have any blue dwellings on blue realms. So I think we're going to move up one more time, and that will just be 2 points. So I think it's still on camera. We'll go ahead and give ourselves 2 points there. When your dragon helps win a battle, your defeated opponent must discard a resource. I'll discard a sword because I'm going to get it back once the wizard goes into the what is it? The underworld. So we'll put the wizard over there, which gets him the sword that we already picked up. Now I think I got everything taken care of. That was the blue player's turn, even though the red player won and hopped in. That was the blue player's turn, which means that now we are at the red player's turn. They're going to start by bringing back the dragon to get a hammer and 2 swords. And then they're going to be bringing back this one in order to dwell. And we're going to turn this one into a dwelling, which will get them 6 points. And while we're at it, so that the blue player can't take him, let's go ahead and claim these points as well. So we just got 11 points, so we're going from 16 to 27. And we will bring back, oh, so this one went here for the dwelling action, and then we're done pulling, we're down to 3 units. Oh man. So now it's the blue player's turn. Because we're regrouping and we do have 3 or more workers out, we do get to move up the glory track, put us here. And I don't know, where do I want to go? I do have a black card. Yeah, okay. So we are going to go ahead and advance up this track. Did I move myself up twice? Let me think. Okay. I moved up once. I'm calling that one a black step. I'll try to annotate it. I should have 1, 2, 3, plus that one is 4, 5. I should be 5 steps up the black track. So yeah, I think I forgot my step of 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this one to get 2 potions. I'm going to pull this one to dwell. That will get me 2, 4, 6, 8 points, plus put me on the red track. So where am I? 8 plus 18, 26. Man, this has been a close game. And I'm paranoid. I'm at a good pausing point. I'm going to have to double check to see if I need... Like when I did this dwelling action, did I get the 2 points from here? I don't remember giving myself those 2 points. So I'm going to do it now, and then I'll undo it if I need to after I review the tape. But I'm all done pulling things off the board, so now we're going to bring back the wizard. And the wizard is going to go here. Oh, I need to pay for that dwelling, so that was these 2. And now I'm going to go through the discard pile. And let's pull stuff. I want this one and, oh man, what else do I want? Do I want a coin? I do like that coin. 2 gems is pretty good. Oh, or if I could get this thing. So are there, how many double hammers are there? Any others? I'm not sure. I don't know what I want. We'll work on this. Okay, let's pull these back. Okay. All right, we both have 3 units left, so it's kind of getting exciting, and as I've mentioned a few times, very close to the end. I just realized, and I'm going to have to keep an eye out for this when editing, I think the red player's off on their tracks, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to catch that until I go start editing. For example, I know that the red should be at least 1, 2, 3 up on the purple, 1 on the blue. Let's see, 3 on the red, 1 on the black. This one belongs to the blue player. Plus up 2 somewhere else for these 2 spaces here. Plus, I can't remember when I fought the monsters. I think when I fought the monsters, I probably moved up the glory track, I'm going to guess, for those. So let's just double check. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm all the way up on the red. Likely, that is from the 3 red cards and maybe these 2. So my purple should be 1 up to 3. The black is here, and the red is here. Okay, so probably I just forgot to move myself up those purple tracks. I'm guessing and hoping. I don't know. I hope to catch that. I'm sorry. Believe it or not, because of my crazy busy schedule, I've been recording this game for a month now on the weekends. Yeah, so I have to get this thing finished. I'm making a push right now. We're getting this finished. So the red player recognizes that they are not going to get very far. The biggest thing that they can do is kind of make a push to get some dwellings out that could be helpful. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this one and we're going to come right here, pick up this, and I mean, fine, this card is whatever it is. But specifically, look at all these really cheap dwellings, and now that we've cleared out the monsters from here, I don't need to be afraid when I come down to these spots. So my plan is to, as fast as possible, dwell, and we'll see if we even get a chance to do that. But yeah, that dwelling's cheap, and I'm up on that purple track. So for all of the reasons I just described, the fact that this is taking me a month to record, again, it's just life stuff. I'm so busy at work and trying to get this made. It's just been rough. But the blue player is going to try to shut this thing down, especially because I think they think they can win, and it's going to be close though. But I'm specifically looking at the fact that we're all the way up on the blue and the black track, where the red player's only all the way up over here on red, and just have little steps here. So if we can kind of end it before the red player advances too far, you know, that could help. And I do think I can do this in a way to gain myself a couple of points. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and play this card. This is a spell, and you play it at the beginning, and so you can place a unit anywhere. I'm at least 1 up on the blue track, so I don't even have to spend a skull or a scroll. So I'm going to place this in order to put my wizard out, and my wizard would have been able to go into where I'm going to go anyway, but this at least helps me use this spell. And I could also use this spell that says play on your turn, discard any number of magic cards from your hand, and draw numbers +1. So I'm going to play this spell also, and I will use that to discard. I'm going to go ahead and just discard 1 card. I'm doing that off camera, but yeah, we're going to do that. And then I'll draw 2. Ooh, we got 2 more spells. Play when a battle would be triggered. Instead, no battle is triggered. Okay, well, I'm not going to trigger anything there. And let's see, I would need 2 swords to do this one. What does this do? Play during the join phase of a battle. Okay, so these battles probably aren't happening. But I did play 2 spells on this turn. To complete this quest, you must cast at least 1 spell. Gain 2 for each spell cast this turn. So that just got me 4 points. It would have had a maximum of 6 points, but hey, that's great. So I just gained 4 points, and I will be putting my wizard out. Again, the whole point of blue ending it now is to keep the red player from, in my brain, catching up. But before I forget, let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are coming into the dungeon. This is the last tile, so it's going to trigger the end of the game. It doesn't really matter where I put this, other than, I mean, I don't even know that the red player's overly interested in dwelling here, just because they're already all the way up the red track. So this, I mean, is fine. But let's put it away from the red player. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that there. We'll put the stack, oh man, here. And we'll put a stack. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling to grab it. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to grab it and flip it with one hand because for some reason, like an old man, my other hand is resting against the table, standing me up, I guess. Anyway, so I'm going here. And so I just revealed the last tile. I will finish this turn, the red player gets one more turn, and then the blue player gets their final turn. But we need to finish this action, so I have to buy at least one card, and I could buy another one. I am going to buy this purple card, and you'll see why with my very last turn, because I'm going to get one more turn after this. I'm going to pull the wizard back. I'm just going to regroup, and when I do, I'm going to be able to fish through the discard pile for tokens and pick tokens that are going to give me basically 8 points, because I'm going to grab the specific tokens that I want. Let's see, that one's going to cost me 3 potions. I have 3 more potions here, and I do have swords. I could grab this one. It wouldn't move me up the blue track, but it would be 5 points by getting this card. I'm using a wizard. Well, I could get this one and move up. Well, I'm already all the way up the black track. So, heck, let's do it. I am going to also buy this card, not really for the ability, because the ability is not going to do anything for me necessarily, but it will get me 5 points. I won't move up the blue track, but I'll get 5 points for having this card. So let me go ahead and flip these over. We'll put these here. I need to pay for them, so that was 5 potions altogether. Am I doing things the way I think I'm thinking through this right? Oh, that's too many potions. So we'll put one back. Plus, I'll go ahead and get rid of the swords. So I'll go ahead and discard these and put myself on the purple track. Like I said, this was less about the purple, having the purple card and coming up the purple track, and more about the fact that I'm going to get those tokens in the vault before we end. So this is the red player's very last turn. Oh, crap. That is kind of a booger, because I could dwell, and that will move me up, but going from 4 to 4 isn't going to help boost all of the other purple things that I have the way that I would have liked. But it still is going to be 4 more points for dwelling, so I guess there's that. So I am going to have to use my dragon. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, because my wizard can go anywhere that's unoccupied, or the dragon can go up to 2 spaces away. So either way, we're going to come over here to the mill to do a dwell action, spend a potion in order to get this, and turn this into a dwelling. And that was the red player's very last turn. I'm kind of disappointed because I never did get to use this card, which I've had from the beginning, and it's just because I've lost that one battle that I seriously should have won. I mean, don't you agree? I should have won that battle. For the blue player's turn, while we're here, they're just going to regroup. So I'm pulling the wizard back. He's coming over here to the Bay of Sharks. I'm going to go take 2 treasure tokens from the supply. It doesn't matter what I take as long as they have different icons. I want 4 different icons. So I'm going to see if I can find some more splitsies. Oh, yep, there it is. No, those are 2 potions. Oh, I might have to, hold on. Let's dump these out. This is math here. Can I get 4 totally different icons here? Ooh, I don't think so. Okay. So, that's alright. I'm just going to end up with 3 different icons. I'll have the gem, the hammer. Am I doing that? Oh, no, I could do this one. There we go. Okay, so there, those are discarded. And we'll bring these back and put them here, because this is, at the end of the game, gain 2 points for each different type of resource depicted on the tokens above. And that was the end of the blue player's turn, so that's going to lead us to final scoring. Here at the end, any unspent orbs, which, I mean, I guess I could have spent this, but whatever. That's going to be 1 point, so 1 point for that orb. The red player didn't have one, so don't need to worry about that. But let's go look at all of the elemental levels. Okay, what's the best way to do this? All right, let's start with reds. Let's start with red and we'll sweep around, I suppose. So red's going to get 5 points for each dwelling and card. Blue's going to get 2. Red has 1, 2, 3 cards plus, oh, did I not even get a red dwelling? I thought I had red dwellings. Well, that was silly. I probably should have dwelled here instead of here, but it's too late for that. And as I said earlier, really not a strategy guide here. All right, so what was that? That was 5 points each for the 3 cards, so that's 15 points. So, oh crap, how do I do that? 5, 10, 15. And the blue player has the 1 dwelling and no cards as I'm looking over there, so they just get 2 points from that. Okay, red's done. Now we come over to purple. Rather than taking the, well, I was going to avoid bringing the camera along for this entire journey, but here we are. So you're not counting these icons, you're counting dwellings. So red has 1, 2, 3 dwellings and no cards, no purple cards. The blue player has 1 purple card. So the blue player just got 2 more points, but the red player got 3 times 4 is 12 points. So we'll go 1, 2, and another 10 is 54. All right, so for the black ones, the blue player has 2 dwellings. The red player doesn't have any dwellings. And they each have 1 card. So the black player has that 1 card. The red player has this 1 black card. Oh, and I'm going to just hand this over to the blue player because that was the blue player's card, and that does go back to them for scoring. So the blue player had the 2 dwellings and the 1 card for 3 times 5 is 15. So once again, we'll do 5, 10, 15. And then the red player had the 1 card, so they got 2. And then we come over here to blue. Don't count red out yet, though. Red has the 1 dwelling, but blue is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards plus the 1 dwelling, so 5 things altogether. So that's 25 points. So let's start there. So we got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then the red player just had the 2 points. Now there is a rule that I think is easily missed. I've never gone heavy on the card strategy, but I'll probably write a note on there before. But basically the idea is that they don't want you to just stack up a ton of cards and not have any dwellings, because this is the Dwellings of Eldervale. And so the general idea is that for each dwelling, you can score up to 3 cards, and it doesn't have to be the matching element. So I think I'm still good, but basically that means that because the red player has 4 dwellings, they could have had scored up to 12 cards. Blue player also has 4 dwellings, they could score up to 12 cards as well. We're both way under that limit, but I just wanted to mention that. And I'll find a place to annotate that earlier in the notes. The other thing that I want to do right now is to also score. You actually do score where you are on these tracks, and so let's do that really fast. So the blue player is going to have 2, 4, 9, well, here, this is easier, 10, 14. So let's do that. 14, what would that do? Oh my gosh, this is too much math. There's 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so they're up to 92. Then the red player is here at 5, plus 4 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, and then another 10 puts us there. All right. In fact, I don't even remember if I explained that way at the beginning. It was like a month ago. I'm going to check when I'm editing, and I will annotate as necessary. So sorry. Just remember, you don't really come here for the quality, because I don't have that. Next up is vault scoring, and if you feel like there's like a lot of scoring going on, you are right. There is a whole page here about all of the things to score, and so just you can use that while you're teaching or whatever. It is a lot. But I think the only vault that we have in the game is this one that I just barely got, which, as we pointed out, is going to get the blue player 8 points. Ooh, we finally get to a nice number, 100. And last of all, we have prophecy cards scoring. And for the prophecy cards, we just had the red player had this 1 prophecy card. It was, well, they had 2 prophecy cards. I forgot. Number 1, they have this one. At the end of the game, this card is worth 2 points per quest you have completed. They completed 2 quests, so they're going to get 4 points for that. And at the end of this game, this card is worth 2 points plus 1 point for each spell card we have. So this is going to be 4. And then this one's going to be 2, 3, 4. So 8 more points. Certainly not enough to catch up. They're just at 79, but there it is, final scoring. And there you have it. Again, sorry, this video really took so long to make, and I imagine that's going to maybe come through the quality, because there were basically, I essentially recorded 4 hours worth of footage, 1 hour per weekend, so it's kind of a mess. Anyway, let's just have a quick conversation about my thoughts about Dwellings of Eldervale. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I think, I almost kickstarted it, and then I backed off, feeling like it wasn't going to really bring me anything new in the world. And then everyone was raving about it here at the end of 2020, because it had just come out and people were making their end-of-year lists. It ended up everywhere. And I do think that there are a ton of really fun and cool things going on with it. I do think there is super cool, amazing production values. I love game trays. I love the components. I love the upgraded ones, but I also really love the standard ones. I think the monsters are cool. I like that I could get them in a wash. That makes me happy. The sound bases, those are a little silly. Is there anything I would change component-wise? Well, I don't know. This is kind of like a gameplay-wise thing, but in that instance where the blue player handed the red player this aura card, because aura, I still don't know how to pronounce that, aura, are always attached to cards, but sometimes to other players' tableaus. I wish there was some better way to like track that this was the blue players, because this could have just as easily belonged to the purple player and it's a blue card given to the red player. And how do you really track that? I wish there were little markers that you could just like set on top or something to that effect to track that kind of a thing. In terms of gameplay, I do like the gameplay. There are some games where there's kind of combat, but it's a little misleading. This is like right on the edge. I do think the combat is fun. I like the idea that it's so simple. It's just roll your dice, figure out who tied, or not figure out who tied. Roll your dice, figure out who has the highest number, and you just go through your ties like that. I love how simple that is. It's beautiful. But it's also such a small part of the game. That it's like might feel deceptive just because those monsters are so pretty, but it's also cool that you can recruit them. Now, I should have dominated with the red player. I have had that card. I just literally kept forgetting about it. But dominating monsters is a really cool idea that you can actually pull them in and have them be a part. So that's fun. I do like that the elements really are pretty varied, and especially like with these cards do all sorts of different things, and they are kind of thematic, you know? So you can kind of look here, your red cards, we've got a few different ones that have to do with battles and stuff like that. And so I like that the different colors that you get into a game will help with the variability, you know, in some ways. So that's cool too. And I like that there are all of these different mini modules, stuff like that. So overall, I feel pretty good about it. I don't know that I feel as excited about it as other people. Like I'm trying to think in my personal situation, what's the time that I would pull this game out? And I don't actually know the answer for that. Because like if I want a fun battle game, I usually go Blood Rage. And then if I want like kind of a resource management, this is not the first one that would pop up on my list. But if you're playing with like fantasy lovers, this art is so much fun. I think you can really get into it. It's a pretty like cool game. Oh, do you know what? I found one thing. I remembered one thing that I don't love. It's that there are so many different things to score. That's just not my style. I know that some people love those point salad games. I don't love looking down a list and scoring all sorts of different things. I kind of wish that somehow that scoring was happening during the game. Because I hate when an exciting game finishes and then you're like, all right, we're going to score for the next hour. And you saw me like having to calculate all of these different things, especially on the tracks and counting. You know, that probably becomes easier with time, but it's also just a little bit extra. So, anyway. That's it. Congratulations to the blue player. I can't believe this is done. Now I have 4 hours of footage to go edit, but I'm going to get this thing posted. I promise. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts, I appreciate it. If you catch mistakes, please let me know nicely. I will annotate as possible. And yeah, all right. Have a great day. I don't know that I can record anything until the summer. We'll see. This year is getting rough. So summertime is coming soon. Then I'll have all the time in the world to play and play and play. All right. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.